Chapter 4:17. Whoosh! Whoosh! Air-rending sounds could be heard as several figures appeared outside the altars. The Dongming ancient battlefield was divided into 4 directions. Each direction corresponded to an altar. The geniuses of the eastern Tianxian region were scattered in these 4 directions. Lu Ming was in the east. Figures flashed around the altars in the east. Powerful youths appeared one after another. A few hours later, more than 3,000 people had gathered and the number was still increasing. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 rays of sword light flew over and appeared outside the altars. When the sword light dissipated, 2 figures appeared. They were Jian Fengyun and Xiao Haoyu. Their auras were clearly much stronger than 2 months ago. Brother Jian. As soon as Jian Fengyun appeared, someone flew over to greet him. Brother Jiang. Jian Fengyun smiled. This person was Jiang Hongwen, who was ranked 3rd on the Emperor Yun leaderboard. There were also some familiar faces on the Emperor Yun leaderboard, such as Su Yingying, who was ranked 13th. Liu Xiaofan, who was ranked 35th. When they first entered the Dongming ancient battlefield, not everyone had gathered together. A large number of people gathered together, but there were also some who were scattered far away after being teleported in. Jiang Hongwen and the others were the same. Jian Fengyun nodded and greeted them. The number of people increased and soon, more than 5,000 people had gathered. Look, that's the genius from the super region, Fengyun Bei. The genius from Baiyu City is here too. That's also a super region. There were people exclaiming in the surroundings. That was because the geniuses from the super region had appeared one by one. Look, what's that? A blood-red cloud? Suddenly, someone pointed into the distance and shouted. In the distance, a blood-red cloud surged over. When it got close, the cloud dispersed, revealing more than 100 figures. The one leading them was Zhang Sheng from the Dragon Burial Abyss. The others were the young experts from the Dragon Burial Abyss. Hee hee. A bunch of trash. Zhang Sheng looked at the geniuses from the super region and smiled disdainfully. He didn't restrain his voice in the slightest and it spread far and wide. What did you say? You're courting death. A genius from the Fengyun Bei roared and his killing intent surged. He moved and pounced at Zhang Sheng. His aura was as heavy as a mountain. He was a martial ancestor realm early stage. Whoosh! At this moment, Buried Life's figure flashed like a phantom. In the next moment, a shrill scream rang out. Everyone was horrified to see that Buried Life's claw had grabbed the head of the Windcloud Bay young man, leaving 5 holes in his skull. The body of the Windcloud Bay youth wriggled rapidly. Within a few breaths, he turned into a dried corpse. All the blood and chi essence in his body had disappeared. Hiss hiss, gasps could be heard everywhere. Everyone looked at Buried Life in shock. He was a genius in the early stage of martial ancestor realm LV8. Furthermore, he was likely to be a genius who had won 3 battles. However, he was as weak as a chicken in Zhang Sheng's hands. He did not have the slightest ability to resist. Just how strong was Buried Life? Boom! Boom! Powerful auras erupted from the Windcloud Bay area. Hundreds of youths stared at Zhang Sheng with gloomy eyes. One of them, in particular, had an exceptionally powerful aura that was extremely terrifying. He wore a robe and stepped out. He glared at Zhang Sheng and said, "Friend, aren't you going too far? He is from the Aeolus sect, the strongest in the Storm Bay area." Someone recognized the young man. Going too far? He is just a piece of trash. Am I wrong to say that? He wants to attack me. He is just courting death. Why? Do you want to attack me too? I don't mind sending you on your way to accompany him. Zhang Sheng smiled contemptuously. He licked his lips and looked at the Aeolus sect with a cold and greedy gaze. Arrogance. He was blatantly arrogant. Even in the face of the strongest in a super region, he was still arrogant. The Aeolus sect frowned. He did not know why, but when Zhang Sheng stared at him, the Aeolus sect felt a chill run down his spine. It was as though he was being stared at by a venomous snake. "Where are you from?" the Aeolus sect asked. "Hee, you want to know? There is no harm in telling you. We are from the Dragon Burial Abyss." Zhang Sheng sneered. "Dragon Burial Abyss?" The Aeolus sect's eyes flashed. He was a little surprised and said, "All right, I will remember this." The Aeolus sect had retreated. The surrounding crowd was in an uproar. Clearly, the Aeolus sect did not attack. They were retreating. Wasn't the Dragon Burial Abyss an ordinary large area? How could there be such a terrifying genius? How could he make the Aeolus sect retreat? The crowd looked at Zhang Sheng curiously. Hee. Zhang Sheng sneered. At this moment, more and more people had gathered. There were already more than 10,000 people. Whoosh! In the sky, a flash of lightning appeared and a figure appeared. Qiu Changkong. When the people of the Cloud Emperor mountain range saw Qiu Changkong, they exclaimed. The moment Qiu Changkong appeared, he looked around. In the next moment, he saw Jian Fengyun and the others. He took a step forward and stood in front of Jian Fengyun and the others. He looked around and said coldly, "Where is Lu Ming? Why isn't he here? Is he dead? Do any of you know anything about him?" His tone was domineering and it was filled with a commanding tone. It did not sound like a question but more like an order for Jian Fengyun and the others to speak. Jian Fengyun, Jiang Hongwen, and the others frowned. They were all geniuses. Qiu Changkong's tone naturally made them unhappy. Brother Lu is a peerless genius. Of course he wouldn't be dead. He is most likely on his way here. Jian Fengyun said. Brother Lu? You call him so intimately. It seems like you have been with Lu Ming all this time. Tell me, where is Lu Ming? Send him a message and ask him to come here and accept his death. Qiu Changkong ordered. Qiu Changkong, watch your attitude. Even if I know where he is, why should I tell you? Jian Fengyun's voice turned cold. Why? Are you unhappy? Jian Fengyun, do you still think that you are the #1 genius on the Cloud Emperor leaderboard? Let me tell you, in front of me, you are just a piece of trash. Now, kneel down. Qiu Changkong was extremely arrogant and he slapped Jian Fengyun with his palm. Clang! The sound of a sword rang and Jian Fengyun unsheathed his sword. A terrifying sword chi shot up to the sky. The early stage of the martial ancestor realm. It was obvious that Jian Fengyun had made a breakthrough during this period and had reached the early stage of the martial ancestor realm. Qiu Changkong, you may have had a fortuitous encounter and your cultivation has improved greatly. However, you are too arrogant. Let me see how much progress you have made. Jian Fengyun said in a deep voice. Clang! In the next moment, a sharp sword chi shot towards Qiu Changkong. Arrogant? Why should I be arrogant to all of you? Qiu Changkong sneered. He suddenly pointed his finger like a sword and a sword chi that was flickering with lightning radiance shot out. Puff! A crisp sound rang out and Jian Fengyun's sword chi shattered. Qiu Changkong's lightning sword chi did not stop and it pierced towards Jian Fengyun's throat. It was so fast that it was beyond anyone's reaction time. Chapter 4:18. Just as Jian Fengyun was about to die, Qiu Changkong changed his hand gesture. He turned his finger sword into a palm and slapped Jian Fengyun's shoulder. Jian Fengyun's body trembled and he knelt down. Bang! Jian Fengyun knelt down in front of Qiu Changkong. Ah! Jian Fengyun struggled and his eyes turned red. This was worse than death. He would rather die than kneel in front of Qiu Changkong. However, Qiu Changkong's palm flashed and Jian Fengyun's body trembled. "Brother Jian!" Xiao Haoyu shouted and a powerful aura rose from his body. "Qiu Changkong, don't go too far." Jiang Hongwen and the others shouted. They were shocked. They had not seen Qiu Changkong for 3 months and his combat strength had increased to such a level. Jian Fengyun's cultivation had increased greatly but he was still defeated by Qiu Changkong in one move. How could Qiu Changkong be so strong? What fortuitous encounter did he have? Qiu Changkong's eyes turned cold and he looked at Jiang Hongwen and the others. "What? You want to interfere? Do you want to die?" Boom! Qiu Changkong's body surged with killing intent and a powerful aura. It was as if an ancient beast had awakened. The powerful aura forced Jiang Hongwen and the others to step back. Their faces were filled with fear. At this moment, the strongest people in the super regions looked at Qiu Changkong seriously. This guy. Zhongsheng also looked at Qiu Changkong. His eyes flashed with killing intent. He. Qiu Changkong sneered when he saw the expressions of Jiang Hongwen and the others. He looked down at Jian Fengyun and said, "Jian Fengyun, I won't kill you today. I want you to see who is the strongest person in the Cloud Emperor mountain range." Ha! Qiu Changkong looked at Jian Fengyun with contempt and laughed. Jian Fengyun clenched his fists. His nails dug into his flesh and blood flowed out. "Trash!" Qiu Changkong sneered. He felt extremely happy. The strongest person in the Cloud Emperor mountain range was still kneeling in front of him. Next, he would obtain the Eastern Sky Divine Guards and make the other geniuses bow down to him. Buzz! Meanwhile, the 27 altars began to vibrate all of a sudden, emitting a brilliant glow. The formation has been activated. We have to leave this place and participate in the final test. This time, I must become a D-Tian Divine Guard. Sigh, as long as I can become a reserve D-Tian Divine Guard, I will be satisfied. Wang! 27 altars shone with resplendent light, and inscriptions flowed. After a while, the light from the altars gathered together, and a huge vortex appeared above the altars. The teleportation path to the final trial has been activated. Once you enter the vortex, you will arrive at the final trial. A deep and dignified voice came from the vortex. The final test has begun. Let's go. Zhongsheng laughed and flew into the vortex, disappearing without a trace. The others from the Dragon Burial Abyss followed closely behind. Go! Go! At the scene, more than 10,000 people flew into the vortex like locusts and disappeared. Lu Ming hasn't come yet. Looks like he died somewhere. Qiu Changkong snorted. He then looked into the distance, and his eyes flickered with a cold light. Lu Ming, don't think that I won't be able to get the news of the Martial Emperor's treasure after you're dead. Wait until I become a D-Tian Divine Guard and destroy the Mystic Essence Sword sect. At that time, I will get the news of the Martial Emperor's treasure from your father. That old man, don't think that I won't be able to do anything to him. Qiu Changkong thought. He then looked at Jian Fengyun and sent him flying with a kick, saying, "Trash, get lost." Then, he dashed into the vortex with a flicker and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Brother Jian, how are you?" Xiao Haoyu, Jiang Hongwen, and the others hurried over to help Jian Fengyun up. "I'm fine," Jian Fengyun said as he wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth. Sigh, I didn't expect Qiu Changkong's cultivation to have reached such a level. How terrifying. Jiang Hongwen sighed. Jian Fengyun's face turned ugly, but he did not say anything. He looked into the distance and said in a low voice, Lu Ming, did something really happen to you? Did you die? Lu Ming still had not arrived. It was highly possible that something had happened to him. Jian Fengyun's expression changed all of a sudden as he saw a ray of light rapidly approaching from the horizon. The ray of light was too fast, arriving in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming. Lu Jian Fengyun was overjoyed. The ray of light disappeared, revealing the true figure. It was none other than Lu Ming. Lu Ming had finally arrived at the scene at lightning speed. Lu Ming, I knew you would be fine. Jian Fengyun was overjoyed. Brother Lu. Xiao Haoyu also went up to greet him. Jiang Hongwen and the others were confused. Wasn't it just Lu Ming? Did Jian Fengyun need to be so excited? Although Lu Ming's battle strength was strong, he had only managed to enter the top 10 in the previous preliminaries. What was there to be happy about? Brother Jian, you seem to be injured not long ago. Who injured you? Lu Ming could tell that Jian Fengyun was injured at a glance. Although the injury wasn't serious, Lu Ming could still tell. I'm fine. It's just a small injury. Jian Fengyun smiled. Lu Ming frowned. Jian Fengyun seemed to be afraid of something and did not tell the truth. Brother Jian, why hide it? Lu Ming, let me tell you. This is all because of you. Jiang Hongwen shouted from the side. Brother Jiang, there's no need to say any more. Jian Fengyun wanted to stop him. It's all because of me? Lu Ming frowned. That's right. It's all because of you. I know that you and Qiu Changkong are from the same empire and have a grudge against each other. Qiu Changkong vented his anger on Brother Jian because he couldn't find you. Jiang Hongwen said loudly. Qiu Changkong? He's actually so strong? Lu Ming said. That's right. I don't know what kind of fortuitous encounter Qiu Changkong had, but his cultivation is terrifyingly strong. Lu Ming, let me warn you. If you encounter Qiu Changkong, you should hide as far as you can. I'm just reminding you out of goodwill. Jiang Hongwen said. The other geniuses in the Cloud Emperor mountain range nodded their heads. Brother Lu, Qiu Changkong is indeed very strong now. You might not be his match. Jian Fengyun sighed. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered and a murderous intent flashed across his eyes. Let's go. Lu Ming changed the topic and did not say anything else. Everyone nodded and rushed into the whirlpool. When Lu Ming dashed into the whirlpool, the familiar feeling of heaven and earth spinning occurred again. After a while, Lu Ming realized that he was standing on a platform paved with white jade. Lu Ming looked around. 3 sides of the platform were blurry and there was a staircase on the other side. The staircase was completely paved with white jade and led upwards. This is the 1,000 Steps Jade Staircase. Only those who can ascend the 1,000 Steps Jade Staircase will be considered as a reserve Empyrean Divine Guard. Those who can't ascend will be eliminated. Chapter 419. Lu Ming already knew that the final test for the D-Tian Divine Guards was divided into several rounds. The first round was the 1,000 Steps Jade Staircase. Only by climbing the 1,000 Steps Jade Staircase could one become a reserve D-Tian Divine Guard. After climbing the 1,000 Steps Jade Staircase, there would be another test. Only by passing the next test could one become a true D-Tian Divine Guard. There was no one around. Lu Ming guessed that this should be the inscription formation. The 1,000 Steps Jade Staircase before him was likely formed by the inscription formation. Let's see what's so special about this 1,000 Steps Jade Staircase. Lu Ming smiled faintly and stepped up. Buzz! As soon as Lu Ming stepped on it, there was a huge force between heaven and earth that pressed down on him. Lu Ming's body shook slightly and he managed to offset the force. This force not only acts on the physical body but also on the true qi in the body. Even the mind is under pressure. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he was secretly amazed. However, although this force was strong, to Lu Ming, it was like a spring breeze. He did not feel much. Stomp. Stomp. Lu Ming stepped up step by step. His body was straight, and he was as immovable as a mountain. Soon, he stepped on the 100 steps jade staircase. He realized that the further up he went, the greater the pressure he felt. However, this kind of pressure was nothing to Lu Ming. Lu Ming walked faster and faster. One by one, he stepped on the jade staircase. In just a few minutes, Lu Ming climbed up the 1,000 steps jade staircase. At the top of the 1,000 steps jade staircase was a platform. In front of the platform was a stone door. The stone door was open, and there was a flickering light. The scene behind the stone door could not be seen clearly. Behind the stone door was the second round of the test. After passing this round of the test, one would become a true Tian divine guard. On the left side of the platform, there was a whirlpool. This was the teleportation gate. If he felt that he was not strong enough to pass the second round, he could leave through the vortex and be teleported to the corresponding location. If one wanted to give it a try, that was also possible. It was said that there wouldn't be any real danger. If one really reached a critical juncture, the Great Array would teleport one away to the area where the Empyrean Divine Guards were stationed. That would be considered a failure. At this time, in the Myriad Star City, there was a huge circular building that covered an area of several thousand acres. It could accommodate millions of people at the same time. This building was like a coliseum, football field, but it was divided into 4 areas by 2 intersecting light curtains. It was like a piece of cake that had been cut into 4 fan-shaped regions, namely the north, south, east, and west regions. The 4 regions did not meet each other as their vision was blocked by the light curtain. The eastern region was divided into 5 levels according to their distribution. In the center of the fan was the first level, and there was a battle platform. The outer ring of the battle platform was the second level. There was a stone tablet with the words, Empyrean Divine Guards, written on it. Further out was the third level, and there was also a stone tablet with the words, Empyrean Divine Guards, written on it. Further out was the fourth level, and there was nothing written on it. Further out were rows of seats. This area was also the largest, just like the outermost ring of the cake. Now, the seats were all filled with people. It was densely packed, and there was no telling how many people there were. Among these seats, there was a rather special spot. This spot was occupied by the leading elders of the various regions. The leading elder of the Cloud Emperor Mountain Range, Lu Xiao, was sitting there. Beside him were the leading elders of the Thousand River Water region, Zhao Sui, and the leading elders of the Serene Devil Palace, Han Sun. Their eyes were fixed on the few levels of empty space below. Those areas were inscribed with mysterious inscription formations that led to the Dongming ancient battlefield. As long as someone climbed the 1,000 steps jade staircase and chose to walk into the vortex, they would be teleported to the area of the Empyrean Divine Guards. As for those who chose to continue the challenge but failed, they would also be teleported to the area of the Empyrean Divine Guards. This meant that they could only become an Empyrean Divine Guard. By the same logic, as long as one became an Empyrean Divine Guard, they would be teleported to the area of the Empyrean Divine Guards. As for those who did not even become an Empyrean Divine Guard, all those who failed would be teleported to the empty area of the fourth level. Hehe, Lu Xiao, you don't have to stare so hard. It's useless even if you stare until your eyes explode. I reckon that everyone in the Cloud Emperor Mountain Range is dead. Not to mention becoming a Empyrean Divine Guard or a Empyrean Divine Guard, I'm afraid that only a few of them can come out alive. Beside him, the leading elder of the Thousand River Water region, Zhao Sui, suddenly said coldly. Lu Xiao's face darkened, and he looked a little ugly. He said, "Zhao Sui, they haven't come out yet, and no one knows what the result will be. Aren't you afraid that you will sprain your tongue by saying this?" "Sprain my tongue? Huh, what a joke. I'm speaking because I'm confident. Given the group of trash in the Cloud Emperor mountain range, unless they find a place to hide as soon as they enter, it's normal that they will all die." Zhao Sui laughed coldly. Lu Xiu's face was unusually ugly. "Zhao Sui, it's too early for you to say that. Every year, there will be geniuses from small regions who will join the Empyrean Divine Guards." Beside him, the leading elders of the other small regions spoke up for Lu Xiu. "Hee, a bunch of trash who only know how to comfort themselves. I think that Brother Zhao is right. It's better for the trash from small regions to die. They still want to compete with us and the other large regions for a spot in the Empyrean Divine Guard. They are really overestimating themselves." A faint voice sounded. It was the leading elder of the Serene Demon Palace, Han Sun. These words were a blatant disdain, and it made the leading elders of the other small regions turn ugly. Brother Han is right. Lu Xiu, if you want to watch, then continue watching. I'm afraid that the more you watch, the more despair you will feel." Zhao Sui revealed a mocking smile. "Someone is coming out." Suddenly, someone shouted. In the empty area of the 4th level, people kept appearing and disappearing. Those who appeared all showed disappointment and unwillingness on their faces. Those who appeared in this area were considered to have failed and been completely eliminated. The leading elders did not show any change in their expressions. In every region, there would be a large number of people who would be eliminated. This was not surprising. What they were paying attention to was how many people appeared in the Reserve Empyrean Divine Guard area and the Empyrean Divine Guard area. After a while, there was finally a fluctuation in the Reserve Empyrean Divine Guard area, and a figure appeared. This is a genius from my region. I knew that this kid would become a Reserve Empyrean Divine Guard. One of the leading elders of the small region laughed excitedly. Next, people kept appearing in the Reserve Empyrean Divine Guard area. Jiang Hongwen, Shangguan Yunyan. Suddenly, Lu Xiu's eyes lit up. In the Reserve Empyrean Divine Guard area, he saw Jiang Hongwen and Shangguan Yunyan. Lu Xiu's face was filled with joy. Jiang Hongwen and Shangguan Yunyan were ranked 3rd and 4th respectively on the Emperor Yun leaderboard. It was within his expectations that they could become Reserve Empyrean Divine Guards. However, there were always exceptions. He was really afraid that the geniuses of the Cloud Emperor mountain range had all died in the Dongming ancient battlefield. When he saw the two of them, he was naturally overjoyed. Zhao Sui, it seems that not a single Reserve Empyrean Divine Guard has appeared in your Thousand River domain. Chapter 420. Humph. Zhao Sui snorted and said with a gloomy face, "What's the hurry? It's still early. When the geniuses of the Qianjiang water zone appear, you'll be scared to death." "Oh. Then I'll wait," Lu Xiu said with a faint smile. As time passed, more and more people appeared in the area reserved for the Tian Divine Guards. However, Zhao Sui's face darkened. Only a few people appeared in the Qianjiang water zone. It was not much better than the Cloud Emperor mountain range. Zhao Sui, there are so many of you. You scared me to death." Lu Xiu started to make sarcastic remarks. In the past, Zhao Sui would mock him from time to time. Now that he had the chance, Lu Xiu naturally retaliated. "Why, are you in a hurry?" Zhao Sui said with a gloomy face. "Oh. Zhao Sui, the test for the Tian Divine Guards should be over soon. I don't see many people. Do you think that all the geniuses in the Qianjiang water zone can become real Tian Divine Guards?" Lu Xiu sneered. "Kiki," Zhao Sui gritted his teeth. However, he was also very anxious. He knew very well that there were at most a dozen people in the Qianjiang water zone who could become Tian divine guards. There were still 40 to 50 people who could become Tian divine guards. However, there were many people who had been eliminated. However, they were all useless. There were only a few people who could become Tian divine guards. He was a little flustered, afraid that something unexpected would happen. Old Han Sun, the leader of the Serene Demon's Palace, also had a gloomy face. The situation in the Serene Demon's Palace was the same as the Qianjiang water zone. There were only a few people who could become Tian divine guards. On the 1,000-step jade staircase in the test ground, Lu Ming pondered for a moment and walked toward the stone door. As soon as he walked in, the environment changed again. He found himself on a platform. In front of him, there was a middle-aged man with a long spear on his back. He stood there as straight as a mountain. As long as you can defeat me, you can become a Tian divine guard. The middle-aged man spoke with a cold and emotionless voice. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He could tell that this burly man was condensed from inscriptions. Boom! As the middle-aged man spoke, a powerful aura burst out from his body. Peak Martial Ancestor Realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He sighed inwardly at the difficulty of the Tian Divine Guard assessment. In order to defeat an ordinary 9th-layer Martial Ancestor Realm expert, one's cultivation had to be at the peak of the 7th-layer Martial Ancestor Realm, and one's battle prowess had to surpass that of a 2nd-level genius. Of course, if one was a Battle 3 or Battle 4 genius, then their cultivation base could be lower. Only Jian Fengyun can achieve this level of difficulty in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. Mr. Tianxi was already dead, and Jiang Hongwen's cultivation had yet to reach the peak of the 7th-layer Martial Ancestor Realm. Kill! Suddenly, the middle-aged man roared and became one with his spear. The long spear in his hand turned into a bolt of lightning and stabbed towards Lu Ming. Fast, accurate, and ruthless. Lu Ming smiled, quickly condensing a long spear in his hand and thrusting it out. Whoosh! This spear was more than twice as fast as his opponent's. Bang! The spear pierced through the middle-aged man's chest. The middle-aged man's entire body exploded and dissipated into energy. A martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the Martial Ancestor Realm was dealt with in one move. For the current Lu Ming, this was not difficult at all. Lu Ming smiled faintly and walked forward. In front of the platform, there was also a stone door. On the left side, there was also a whirlpool. As long as one gave up the challenge, they could leave the whirlpool and become an Empyrean Divine Guard. Entering through the stone door meant that one would continue to challenge. If one succeeded in the challenge, they would appear on the first level of the huge building in the Myriad Star City. There, the strongest experts would fight to determine the 4 heavenly divine guards. Lu Ming and the others were in the eastern region, so they were naturally the Eastern Sky Divine Guards. The building was divided into 4 parts, representing the East, South, West, and North Heavenly Divine Guards. Becoming a 4 Heavenly Divine Guard could be said to be the strongest among the younger generation in the entire Tianxian region. There were many benefits, and it was also the focus of half a year. Otherwise, there would not be so many people watching in the building. Lu Ming did not hesitate and stepped into the stone door. Buzz! Heaven and earth shook, and Lu Ming found himself in a secret room. There were more than a dozen stone carvings on the walls of the secret room, and each of them was a person practicing martial arts. This was a martial skill. Other than that, there was nothing else. Suddenly, a light flashed, and the figure of an old man condensed. Welcome to this challenge. This stage is to test your comprehension ability. Everyone will appear in a secret room, but the test for each person is different. There will be a martial skill that you are not good at, and you will have to comprehend it. As long as you can cultivate it successfully within half an hour, you will pass this stage. The old man explained as soon as he appeared. Fist skill? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Fist skill was indeed his weakness. Apart from the low-level fist art he had practiced at the beginning, he had not practiced any other fist art after that. This fist skill is a black class upper rank fist skill. As long as you can cultivate to the first level within half an hour, you will be able to see through the restriction. Start now. After the old man finished speaking, his figure disappeared. It was not easy to cultivate to the first level of a black class upper rank martial skill that he was not good at in half an hour. Immediately, Lu Ming looked at the stone carvings carefully and started to comprehend them. Time passed slowly. In the outside world, in a huge building in Myriad Star City, someone has become a Tian Divine Guard. Suddenly, a light flashed in the area of the Tian Divine Guards, and a figure appeared at the same time. It's a genius from the Golden Chamber region. An elder who led the team laughed heartily. The Golden Chamber region was a small region, and it was already good enough to have one person become a real Tian Divine Guard. If there was one more person, it would be a breakthrough. Moreover, he was the first to become a Tian Divine Guard. Although being the first to become a Tian Divine Guard did not mean that he was stronger than the rest, and some people might want to challenge the next round. As more people became Tian Divine Guards, more and more people became Tian Divine Guards. Jian Fengyun. Suddenly, Lu Xiu's eyes lit up. He saw Jian Fengyun in the area of the Tian Divine Guards. You did not let me down. Lu Xiu laughed heartily. He knew the strength of the Cloud Emperor Mountain Range region. There was a high chance that Jian Fengyun would challenge the Tian Divine Guards. As for Prince Tian Shi and Jiang Hongwen, there was still hope, but not much hope. Now that Jian Fengyun had become a Tian Divine Guard, he felt relieved. No matter how bad it was, at least one person would become a Tian Divine Guard. In the previous batch of Cloud Emperor Mountain Range region, no one had become a Tian Divine Guard. Chapter 421. On the other hand, Zhao Sui's face was as dark as charcoal. Until now, he had yet to see any of the geniuses from the Thousand River region in the Imperial Sky Divine Guards area. This made him have a bad premonition. This wasn't normal. It was too abnormal. Could it be that all the geniuses from the Thousand River region had passed the last round? That wasn't possible. He knew very well that even the strongest of the younger generation in the Thousand River region might not be able to pass the last round. He started to get anxious. Like Zhao Sui, the leader of the Serene Demons area, Old Han Sun, also looked terrible. As time passed, fewer and fewer people appeared in the Imperial Sky Divine Guards area. Zhao Sui, why do you look so terrible? Don't be impatient. In my opinion, the geniuses from the Thousand River region must have gone to the last round. Furthermore, they must have passed the last round. It would be such an honorable thing for a group of them to appear in the first round of the battle. Lu Xiu said with a smile. Lu Xiu, shut up. Zhao Sui's eyes turned red. Lu Xiu was mocking him. How could so many people from the Thousand River region have passed the last round? Even if only one person had passed, he would laugh his head off. Calm down, calm down. Lu Xiu laughed, which almost made Zhao Sui vomit blood. It seems that the geniuses from the Thousand River region have died in the battle. I wonder which powerful area did it. I really have to thank them. Lu Xiu thought to himself. Carefree. It was too carefree. Seeing Zhao Sui's expression, Lu Xiu felt extremely carefree. In the past, it had always been the other way around. Soon, half an hour had passed. Many people could no longer sit still. How is that possible? Why are there so few geniuses from the Phoenix Lake? Where are the people from the Scarlet Flame Mountain Range? Ah! Only 4 people from the Yangchuan Valley area have become Imperial Sky Divine Guards. Impossible! Loud roars could be heard. Half an hour had passed. Even if they had passed the next round, they should have failed and come out. However, they had yet to come out, which meant that they had most likely died in the Dongming ancient battlefield. Among them, the leaders of the Phoenix Lake, Yangchuan Valley, and Scarlet Flame Mountain Range area were the loudest. They were a super region and had as many geniuses as there were clouds in the sky. At the very least, there would be 34 of them who could become Empyrean Divine Guards. But now, there were only 2 or 3 Tom, Dick, and Harry. This meant that the geniuses of these regions had died in batches in the Dongming ancient battlefield. Some people were happy, while others were sad. The leading elders of some regions were beaming with joy. This was because many of their regions had succeeded, and some had even exceeded their expectations. This time around, there are already 820 Tion Divine Guards. It's a little more than the previous years. This generation is really full of geniuses. That's right. In the past, it would be considered good if there were 500 participants. Adding up the north, south, east, and west, it would be considered good if there were 2,000 participants. This time, it's going to be far more than that. Now, let's see how many people can make it to the first stage. I estimate that there will be more than 12. On our side, there are 13 super regions. The strongest person from each super region should be able to reach the end. Not necessarily. Maybe there's a super dark horse? Just wait and see. Look, there are fluctuations coming from the battle platform of the first level. Someone has passed the last level and is about to appear. Who could it be? At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the battle platform at the bottom. Buzz! The space trembled, and a young figure appeared. This young man was wearing a blood-red robe. His face was pale and cold. He was Zhongsheng from the Dragon Burial Abyss. Who is this person? He doesn't seem to be a genius from the 13 super regions. He's the first to pass the level. Could it be that he can suppress the geniuses from the super regions? Everyone was discussing. Especially the leading elders, they were all guessing. This person is the peerless genius of the Dragon Burial Abyss, Zhongsheng. Suddenly, a maniacal laugh was heard. What? Someone from the Dragon Burial Abyss? The Dragon Burial Abyss has appeared? I didn't expect such a genius to appear in the Dragon Burial Abyss. It's really shocking. The surrounding audience exclaimed. Below, on the battle platform, Zhongsheng looked around when he appeared. When he found that he was alone, his face was filled with joy. This time, the Eastern Sky Divine Guard of the 4 Heavenly Divine Guards will definitely be mine. Zhongsheng roared in his heart. Someone else has appeared. Someone shouted. Another wave of energy appeared on the battle stage, and a silhouette appeared. Qiu Changkong. The second figure to appear was actually Qiu Changkong. Lu Xiu was stunned. Then, his body trembled in excitement and he shouted, this is the genius of the Cloud Emperor Mountain Range. The genius of the Cloud Emperor Mountain Range. Lu Xiu never expected that someone would be able to reach the last level. Lu Xiu's roar caused an uproar. What? The genius of the Cloud Emperor Mountain Range? How is that possible? The Cloud Emperor Mountain Range is a godforsaken place. How can someone reach the last level? Don't lie to me. I don't believe it either. Everyone was talking about it. No, it's impossible. Zhao Sui shouted. He had seen Qiu Changkong before. At this moment, he really couldn't believe it. The moment Qiu Changkong appeared, he looked around and saw Zhongsheng. He snorted coldly and a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. How could he be faster than him? Zhongsheng didn't back down and looked back coldly. At this moment, in a secret chamber in the assessment area, Lu Ming shouted and punched out continuously. Fist shadows were everywhere. Finally, with a bang, the fist force disappeared and Lu Ming withdrew his fist. In the next moment, the old man's figure appeared again. Congratulations. You've passed this stage to test your comprehension ability. Next, there's still the final stage. After speaking, the old man waved his hand and the scene changed again. Lu Ming found himself on another platform. In front of him, there was a middle-aged man with a spear on his back. He looked exactly the same as the previous man. However, this time, the middle-aged man exuded a terrifying aura. It was several times stronger than before. Half-step king. This time, it was a half-step king. The peak of martial ancestor realm 9th stage and half-step king seemed to be only one step away. However, the gap was huge. If one had to talk about the gap, an ordinary half-step king was 2 levels higher than a peak martial ancestor realm 9th stage martial artist. Yes, 2 levels higher. As long as you can defeat me, you pass. The middle-aged man said. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. This round was too difficult. He estimated that not many people would pass. At the very least, one had to be a peak martial ancestor realm 8th stage martial artist. Moreover, one had to be a 4-battle genius to pass. Kill. Suddenly, the middle-aged man roared. His long spear was like a dragon as it charged towards Lu Ming. Spear light shot out and enveloped Lu Ming's body. 9 dragons stomping the sky. Chapter 422. Boom. A terrifying power burst out as if it could shatter everything. The spear light was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. With a boom, the spear light exploded, and the surging energy surged forward. Pung! The middle-aged man's body cracked and turned into dust under the majestic attack of the 9 dragon sky-stomping steps. One move. With just one move, a half-step king-level figure was killed by Lu Ming. Half a year ago, during the battle of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, a half-step king was an invincible existence to Lu Ming. They were the undisputed overlords of the Burning Sun Empire. But now, only half a year had passed, and Lu Ming could kill a half-step king in one move. Who would believe that? In the past half a year, Lu Ming's progress could be described as godly. The middle-aged man collapsed and disappeared into energy. Then, the platform glowed, and a black vortex formed. Lu Ming smiled faintly and took a step forward. After a moment of dizziness, Lu Ming realized that he had appeared in a fighting ring. The other directions of the fighting stage were blocked by a light screen. Only the east side had a fan-shaped spectator stand full of people. At this time, Lu Xiao, who was sitting in the area where the captains were sitting, suddenly opened his eyes wide and stared at the fighting ring below. Then, his body began to tremble, and even his breathing became heavy. Hey, Lu Xiao, what's wrong with you? Why are you trembling? Don't tell me you've gone mad. Seeing Lu Xiao's appearance, the leader of a small area asked in confusion. No. No, I saw another person in the Cloud Emperor mountain range pass the last round. I was excited. Lu Xiao stammered. Good. The leader nodded. The next moment, he seemed to have realized something. His eyes widened as he looked at Lu Xiao in disbelief. What? What did you say? Another person in the Cloud Emperor mountain range passed the last round? Are you kidding? How is that possible? His eyes were full of disbelief. It's true, it's true. Although I'm also surprised, it's true. Lu Xiao's voice was trembling. In truth, even he found it hard to believe and wondered if he was dreaming. Lu Xiu's words naturally entered the ears of the people around him, but most of them shook their heads, half believing and half doubting. The Cloud Emperor mountain range was so small. How could two people pass the last test? It never happened. Occasionally, it was possible for a person to pass through a small area. It had happened before in history. One had to know that in most of the super-large areas, only one person would pass through. Sometimes, no one would pass through. However, there was one person who was an exception, and that was the leading elder of the Thousand River region, Zhao Sui. At this moment, his body was trembling slightly, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Others might not have seen Lu Ming, but he had. He knew that Lu Ming was from the Cloud Emperor mountain range. In the Cloud Emperor mountain range, there were actually two people who had passed the last round. As for the Thousand River water region, there were only one or two people who had become Dton divine guards. Those geniuses who were ranked at the top were all gone. Comparing the two, the Thousand River water region was simply too miserable, too horrible to look at. How could this be? How could this be? Zhao Sui kept growling, and his eyes were red. He found it hard to accept this fact. Until now, those geniuses in the Thousand River water region had not appeared. He knew that most of them had fallen. In the area where the Dton divine guards were prepared, Jiang Hongwen and Shengguan Yunyan opened their eyes wide. Lu Ming. It's actually Lu Ming. He also passed the last round? How could this be? Jiang Hongwen shouted in disbelief. He rubbed his eyes hard, thinking that his eyes were playing tricks on him. However, he almost rubbed his eyes until they bled, and the person he saw was still Lu Ming. So, Lu Ming is actually so strong. No wonder Jian Fengyun's attitude towards him is so good. I'm so stupid, should have known. Jiang Hongwen muttered. He recalled that before entering the assessment ground, he had advised Lu Ming to hide as far away as possible when he saw Qiu Changkong. He felt his face burning. Lu Ming's strength was probably not much weaker than Qiu Changkong's. He might even be a genius of the same level. Especially when he recalled that his attitude towards Lu Ming was not that good, he felt uneasy. He wanted to give himself a slap. If Lu Ming held a grudge against him, he would have a hard time in the future. In the Dton Divine Guards area, Jian Fengyun smiled. He was not surprised that Lu Ming could pass the last round. Of course, Lu Ming did not know what these people were thinking. He looked around and sized up his surroundings. He realized that there were already 7 to 8 people on the platform. "Brat, it's you? You're not dead?" Suddenly, a cold voice with a hint of disbelief sounded. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and a cold smile appeared on his face. The person who spoke was Zhang Sheng from the Dragon Burial Abyss. At this moment, Zhang Sheng was looking at him with a face full of killing intent. "How could I die when you're not dead?" Lu Ming smiled faintly. Zhang Sheng's eyes flickered and he said coldly, "Good, very good. Although I don't know what method you used to escape, you shouldn't have rushed here this time. Hee, I hope you don't meet me. Otherwise, I'll suck all the blood in your body dry." "Is that so?" "I'm afraid you don't have that ability." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Lu Ming." At this moment, a low roar sounded from the other side. Lu Ming looked over and killing intent burst out from his eyes. "Qiu Changkong." To be honest, Lu Ming did not expect Qiu Changkong to appear here. It seems like it has something to do with his master. Lu Ming thought to himself. "Lu Ming, I didn't expect that not only did you not die in the Dongming ancient battlefield, but you also managed to make it here. This is really out of my expectations. But this is good too. It saves me the trouble of looking for your old fogey father. I'll just kill you directly." Qiu Changkong stared at Lu Ming and said with killing intent. Very well. Let's settle our grudges once and for all. Lu Ming's killing intent was also extremely strong. Boom. 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 Powerful auras rose into the air and confronted each other. Before the final battle began, Lu Ming, Qiu Changkong, and Zhang Sheng had already clashed. The battle hasn't started yet. No one is allowed to attack. At this moment, a majestic voice came from the sky and a figure appeared in the sky. It was a middle-aged man with a monstrous aura. His aura was extremely hot and he stood in the sky like a sun, causing the sky to distort. A terrifying and boundless pressure spread out from his body. Chapter 423. He's the guardian of the Hall of Fire of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. Someone exclaimed as they recognized the burly man. What? The guardian of the Hall of Fire of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace? Everyone was shocked. The guardian of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace was an extremely powerful figure with the ability to destroy the heavens and earth. In the eastern part of the Tianxian domain, he was definitely a famous figure. Of course, the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace wasn't the main palace, but the eastern branch of the Tianxian domain. On the battle stage, Zhang Sheng and Qiu Changkong snorted as they withdrew their auras. Lu Ming sneered as he withdrew his aura. Buzz! At this moment, the space trembled slightly as a figure with a long sword on his back appeared. Xian Feng from the ancient Desolation City. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Lu Ming did not see Xian Feng's corpse in the underground cave of the Dragon's Denver. As expected, Xian Feng was still alive. With Xian Feng's combat strength, it wouldn't be a problem for him to make it to the final stage. Humph. A cold voice resounded as Zhang Sheng looked at Xian Feng with a sinister gaze. Clang. A sword chime resounded as Xian Feng emitted a powerful sword aura. His gaze was like lightning as he stared at Zhang Sheng. Hee, all of you have appeared. Alright, let's settle this once and for all. Zhang Sheng sneered. Xian Feng also saw the guardian of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace in the sky. He withdrew his aura and walked to the side. The spectators on the spectator stand were extremely excited. The stronger the smell of gunpowder between the geniuses, the more excited they were because the upcoming battle would be even more intense. The battle stage quietened down as time passed slowly. On the battle stage, the space trembled from time to time as people appeared. Soon, the number of people increased to more than a dozen. Half an hour later, no one else appeared. Alright, time's up. There are no more participants in the assessment ground. The guardian of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace announced in the sky. No, how is this possible? Why are there so few geniuses from the Phoenix Lake? Where is Huang Qixuan? Where did he go? Sunspring Valley as well. Where is Sun Chu? Protector, is there a mistake? My Scarlet Flame Mountain Range's Bufifan is a peerless genius. He will definitely make it to the final stage. Why hasn't he appeared yet? Phoenix Lake, Yangchuan Valley, Scarlet Flame Mountain Range, and even the elders of another super region all cried out in disbelief. What are you shouting for? If you don't show up, it means that you died inside. It means that you don't have enough talent and luck. What's so strange about that? The middle-aged protector scolded as he looked coldly at the elders who were leading the teams. The several captains immediately kept quiet out of fear, shivering all over, not daring to say a word. Alright, the previous assessment is over. Now, we will proceed to the final showdown. The purpose of this showdown is to determine the final 4 divine guards of the Eastern Sky. What are the Eastern Sky Divine Guards? I'm sure you all are clear about it. Here, I'll be long-winded again. When you were teleported into the Eastern Dark Ancient battlefield, you were automatically distributed to the 4 directions of the battlefield. The Eastern Sky, Eastern Sky, Western Sky, Eastern Sky, Eastern Sky, and Western Sky. Your group belongs to the Eastern Sky. Therefore, the Eastern Sky Divine Guards are the strongest. The 4 Heavenly Divine Guards represent the 4 strongest experts in this batch of Eastern Sky Divine Guards. There will be generous rewards. The middle-aged protector explained in detail. Everyone nodded. Many of them already knew about this point. Therefore, in this showdown, the 2nd and 3rd place are not important. The most important thing is the 1st place. I'll say it again. The most important thing is the 1st place. The middle-aged protector said loudly, his voice spreading throughout the region. On the platform, all the youths' eyes lit up, and their bodies emitted a strong fighting spirit. On the platform, there were a total of 17 young men and women. Each of them was a genius among geniuses. Each of them possessed rare talent. They had absolute confidence in themselves, confident that they were stronger than others. This time, the Eastern Sky Divine Guards are mine. A deep voice sounded, coming from a tall and burly young man. This person was more than 2 meters tall, with muscles all over his body as if he was cast in steel. Tai Quanzhong, it's fine that you're the overlord of Iron Peak. But now, you want to take the throne of the Eastern Sky Divine Guards? You're dreaming. The Eastern Sky Divine Guards belong to me. A blue-haired beautiful woman said in a very domineering manner. Ha, Ao Feishuan, I think you'd better go home and give birth to a child. You want to take the Eastern Sky Divine Guards? The burly young man sneered. What did you say? The blue-haired beauty Ao Feishuan glared at him. A group of trash wants to take the Eastern Sky Divine Guards? You're daydreaming. Zhang Sheng curled his lips and sneered. Arrogant. You're courting death. Zhang Sheng's words aroused the anger of the crowd. More than 10 young experts looked at Zhang Sheng with murderous intent. Zhang Sheng smiled faintly, not caring at all. Enough. At this time, the middle-aged protector spoke. Everyone shut their mouths. Here's a jade token. Take it. The middle-aged protector waved his hand, and 17 jade tokens flew out, 1 for each person. Everyone took the jade tokens in their hands. Now, engrave your information on the jade token. Wait a moment, I'll use this jade token to draw lots. The middle-aged man ordered. Everyone's mind moved, and they engraved their information on the jade token. Then, they returned it to the middle-aged protector one by one. The middle-aged protector took a look at the jade token and began to read. This time, a total of 17 people passed the last round. They are Zhang Sheng from Dragon Burial Abyss, Qiu Changkong from Cloud Emperor Mountain Range, Tai Quanzhong from Iron Peak, Lu Ming from Cloud Emperor Mountain Range, Ao Feishuan from Jade Wave Lake. The middle-aged man read out the names one by one. In a few moments, all 17 names had been read out. As the middle-aged man's voice fell, the crowd burst into an uproar. Wait, did I hear it wrong? I heard 2 people from Cloud Emperor Mountain Range. That remote place? You didn't hear it wrong, I heard it too. This is too fucking weird. There are 2 people from Cloud Emperor Mountain Range who passed the last round. Is the sun rising from the west? The small Cloud Emperor Mountain Range is really crazy this time. The audience in the stands were in a heated discussion, and they were shocked. As for the elders from the various regions, they were all dumbfounded. There were really 2 people from Cloud Emperor Mountain Range who passed the last round. Previously, they thought Lu Xiao was talking nonsense. They didn't expect it to be true. This was really unbelievable. At this moment, Lu Xiao was trembling with excitement. The small Cloud Emperor Mountain Range had produced 2 such geniuses. This time, his reward would definitely be amazing. Brother Lu, when you become successful in the future, don't forget about me. Brother Lu, after this selection, I'll treat you to a meal at Drunken Immortal restaurant. Brother Lu, you must come. Immediately, some of the other elders beside Lu Xiu, and even some elders from bigger regions, expressed their goodwill to Lu Xiu. Lu Xiu was so excited that he was about to burst into laughter. Chapter 424. Lu Xiu was about to burst out laughing. It felt so good. In the past, he was just a small elder in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. He was at the bottom of the hierarchy and was ridiculed. However, the Cloud Emperor mountain range was weak and no one from the previous batch had become an Emperor Sky Divine Guard. This made him less and less valued. He had also dreamed that the Cloud Emperor mountain range would produce a few peerless geniuses, whose names would shake the world and make him proud and elated. However, he knew that it was just a dream and it was impossible. Now, all of this had happened. How could he not be excited? Those who had looked down on him in the past had come to befriend him. Lu Ming, Zhou Changkong, it's all thanks to you. Lu Xiu sighed and looked at the two youths in the fighting ring. He was especially surprised by Lu Ming. He vaguely knew that Zhou Changkong had a backer in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. It was still acceptable that Lu Ming could achieve such results. However, Lu Ming was completely alone. He did not have any backing. He had relied on his own efforts to reach this stage. This was what he valued more. Everyone was discussing, but most of them were talking about Lu Ming and Zhou Changkong. Cloud Emperor Mountain Range. On the fighting ring, some of the other geniuses looked at Lu Ming and Zhou Changkong, their eyes flashing with surprise. Zhou Changkong's lips curled up and he did not hide the pride on his face. Lu Ming smiled faintly and stood quietly by the side. Silence. The middle-aged guardian spoke and the crowd quieted down. Now, I will announce the rules of the duel. The rules are simple. You will draw lots and fight one-on-one. The winner will advance and the loser will be eliminated until the strongest person is determined. During the battle, you are not allowed to take any elixirs or use any battle beasts. However, there is one rule and that is that you are not allowed to kill your opponent. The middle-aged guardian announced. Not allowed to kill my opponent? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he felt that it was a pity. If he encountered Zhou Changkong, he would have to escape with his life again. Hee, Lu Ming, right? You are lucky. Zhang Sheng chuckled. You're the lucky one. Lu Ming said. Really? Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because I can't kill you. I can still cripple you. Zhang Sheng said in a cold voice. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered. On the other side, Zhou Changkong sneered. All right. Now, I have engraved 16 numbers on these 17 jade plates. They are respectively number 1 to number 16. There is one more jade plate that is not in use. All of you will draw lots respectively. The one who draws number 1 will fight against number 16, number 2 will fight against number 15, number 3 will fight against number 14, and so on. The one who draws an empty number will directly advance to the next round. The middle-aged man said. After saying that, he waved his hand, and 17 jade tokens floated in the air, emitting a hazy light that covered the numbers on them. I'll go first. Zhang Sheng smiled coldly and reached out with his hand. A powerful suction force appeared and grabbed the jade token in his hand. Following that, the others followed suit and reached out their hands to grab a jade pendant. Lu Ming also grabbed a jade token. He held the jade token in his hand and injected his true qi. A number appeared on the jade token. No, it wasn't a number. It was a word, empty. Lu Ming was stunned. He didn't expect his luck to be so good. He actually drew an empty number in the first round. Alright, tell me the numbers you've drawn. The middle-aged man said. I'm number 16. Zhang Sheng walked out first and flipped open his jade token. There was a number on it, 16. I'm number 3. Qiu Chongkong walked out and flipped open his jade token. It was number 3. I'm number 5. I'm number 6. The youths flipped open their jade tokens one by one. Soon, they flipped open their jade tokens from number 1 to number 16. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Ming. Since he already had numbers from number 1 to 16, wouldn't the remaining jade tokens be empty? Lu Ming smiled slightly and flipped open his jade token. The word empty was written on it. As expected, he got an empty number. This kid's luck is really good. His luck is good, but it's useless. In the end, it still depends on his strength. If he doesn't have the strength, he'll be miserable if he encounters an expert in the next round. That's true. Everyone on the spectator stand was discussing. Kid, you're lucky. Zhang Sheng glanced coldly at Lu Ming. This time, Lu Ming didn't even bother to look at him and directly ignored him. This was a mad dog. There was no point in talking too much. When the time was right, he would beat him until even his mother couldn't recognize him. Now, the battle begins. Number 1 against number 16. The rest of you, retreat to the side. The middle-aged man announced. Lu Ming and the others retreated to the side. Only Zhang Sheng and a young man in a brocade robe were left. Zhang Sheng's face revealed a sinister smile. He stared at the young man in a brocade robe and said, Kid, I advise you to admit defeat quickly. Otherwise, you'll suffer later. Hee, admit defeat? There's no such word in my dictionary. I've been annoyed by your arrogance for a long time. I hope your strength won't disappoint me. The young man in a brocade robe smiled proudly. You'll regret it soon. Zhang Sheng sneered. The atmosphere was already tense before the battle even started. On the spectator stands, everyone was also discussing animatedly, expressing their own opinions. That's the strongest genius from the Wuxia Plain, Yu Zhangfei. Who do you think will win? I think it'll be Zhang Sheng from the Dragon Burial Abyss. He's the first person to pass the stage and appear here. I don't think so. The first person to pass the stage doesn't necessarily mean that he's the strongest. That's true. Boom. Boom. Just as everyone was discussing, 2 powerful auras burst out. Then, 2 figures rushed toward each other like lightning. Jade Cutting Palm. Blood Dragon Claw. Boom. A loud explosion was heard and a terrifying airwave swept out. Blood red and jade green light erupted and filled the entire fighting ring. Bang! In the next moment, a scream was heard. A figure flew backward like a cannonball and vomited blood in the air. It was the young man in a brocade robe from the Wuxia Plain, Yu Zhangfei. Many people widened their eyes in shock. Yu Zhangfei, the strongest genius from the Wuxia Plain region, was sent flying with a single blow and vomited blood. How could this be? Judging from the aura that Yu Zhangfei had just released, he was definitely at the peak of martial ancestor realm 8. Moreover, he was a Battle 4 genius. How could such an expert be sent flying with a single blow from Zhang Sheng? How terrifying was Zhang Sheng? I thought you were strong. Turns out you're just trash. Now, I'll show you how powerful I am. Zhang Sheng sneered. Then, his body moved and appeared above Yu Zhangfei like a ghost. He stared at Yu Zhangfei coldly. Back off. Yu Zhangfei was shocked. He used all his strength and threw out 7 palm strikes. The palm strikes were crystal clear like jade. Chapter 425. Bang! Yu Changkong's entire body slammed heavily onto the battle stage, causing the entire battle stage to rumble. Yu Changkong vomited mouthfuls of blood. Trash, trash. How dare you be so arrogant? You're courting death. Zhang Sheng sneered. Then, he kicked Yu Zhangfei's head. Yu Zhangfei's body flew out like a broken gunny sack and fell off the fighting ring. He fainted after falling down from the fighting ring. Bang! An old man rose from the spectator stand and yelled furiously, "Zhang Sheng, aren't you being too cruel? Yu Changfei has obviously been defeated, yet you're still beating him up. You're breaking the rules." The old man was the leading elder of the Hollow Jade tribe. "Old man, what are you yelling for? I didn't kill him. How is this breaking the rules?" Zhang Sheng said with a cold smile. You, the leading elder of the Hollow Jade tribe, blushed as he glanced at the middle-aged custodian and said, "Custodian, is this considered breaking the rules? He's not dead yet, so it doesn't count." The middle-aged custodian's simple answer stunned the leading elder of the Hollow Jade tribe. He then sat down with a pale face. Zhang Sheng laughed proudly. This Zhang Sheng is indeed terrifying. As expected of the first genius to have a breakthrough. His cultivation has definitely reached the 9th layer martial ancestor realm, and it's not as simple as the early stage or middle stage martial ancestor realm. He didn't even use his full strength. The crowd discussed. The other geniuses around the fighting ring glanced at Zhang Sheng with stern looks. Zhang Sheng's strength gave them great pressure. This Zhang Sheng's improvement must be related to the blood of Bu Fifan and the other geniuses. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Previously at the Dragon's Cave, Zhang Sheng's strength should be on par with Huang Qixuan, Bu Fifan, and Yu Changfei's. However, he was now much stronger than before. No wonder he was so arrogant. Zhang Sheng wins this round at the Dragon Burial Abyss. Let the next round begin. The middle-aged custodian announced. Zhang Sheng walked to the side of the fighting ring. Two figures appeared at the center of the fighting ring with a flicker. This time, it was still two geniuses from the super districts, a man and a woman. However, their cultivations were slightly stronger than Yu Changfei's. The reason being that their cultivations had both broken through to the early stage of the 9th layer martial ancestor realm, and they were both Battle 4 geniuses. The two of them engaged in an intense battle, using all sorts of ultimate moves and killing moves, dazzling the eyes of the spectators. The two of them fought for more than 200 moves before the woman won by a fluke. Then, the third battle began. In this battle, Qiu Changkong went up and his opponent was actually Tai Quanzhong from the Iron Peak region. Tai Quanzhong's body was more than 2 meters tall. His muscles were like steel and filled with power. He gave off a feeling of invincibility. "Brat, are you from the Cloud Emperor mountain range? Hee, to be able to walk out of that small place and reach this step is already not bad. However, it will end here." Tai Quanzhong said contemptuously. "You're still far from it." Qiu Changkong was extremely confident. "Really? I'll beat you into a pig's head." Boom! Tai Quanzhong took a step forward like a wild beast, causing the entire battle stage to rumble. The muscles on his body swelled, and a terrifying aura spread out. The early stage of the 9th level of the martial ancestor realm. This was Tai Quanzhong's cultivation. Iron-crushing fist. Boom! Tai Quanzhong roared and punched out. A terrifying fist force violently blasted towards Qiu Changkong. Thunder sword, slash! Qiu Changkong shouted. In the next moment, crimson lightning flashed on his body. The crimson lightning violently slashed out with his combat sword, forming a crimson lightning sword. Boom! The crimson lightning sword and Tai Quanzhong's fist collided. In the next moment, bang! 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 Tai Quanzhong's body trembled, and his expression changed drastically. He took 9 steps back, and with each step, the entire battle stage rumbled. Tai Quanzhong was at a disadvantage in this move. The spectators were shocked. They did not expect Xiao Changkong to be so strong. Damn it! Tai Quanzhong roared. In the next moment, a huge crocodile appeared above his head. This crocodile was more than 20 meters long and was covered with iron armor. This was the armored demonic crocodile, a powerful beast that was extremely ferocious and could compete with a dragon. There were 6 silver chakras around the armored demonic crocodile. Roar! The armored demonic crocodile roared and charged into Tai Quanzhong's body. Suddenly, Tai Quanzhong's already very tall and sturdy body swelled up again, and his aura became even stronger. Bloodline? Do you think you're the only one who has it? Xiao Changkong sneered. In the next moment, a crimson lightning ball appeared above his head. Sizzle, the crimson lightning ball sizzled, and lightning surrounded it, emitting a terrifying aura. This is the Crimson Flame Profound Bomb. Someone exclaimed as they recognized this lightning. There was no doubt that this was a special bloodline, and it was a natural type bloodline. The same type of bloodline was actually divided into many types. For example, the Fire bloodline, Ice bloodline, and Thunder bloodline were divided into many smaller types. Some were strong, and some were weak. The Crimson Flame Profound Bomb was considered strong among the Thunder bloodlines. Around the Thunder bloodline, there were 6 silver chakras shining. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This was the first time he saw Xiao Changkong's bloodline. Xiao Changkong's second bloodline was also a level 6 king class. No wonder the other geniuses in the Blazing Sun Empire couldn't be compared to him. Xiao Changkong unleashed his bloodline, and his aura became stronger. His body was covered with the power of lightning. Thunder Sword, Annihilation. Swoosh! A thunder sword instantly pierced through the void, and slashed towards Tai Quanzhong. Tai Quanzhong roared, and his body shook. He was like a steel giant, and he charged towards Xiao Changkong. Boom! There was another deafening explosion, and Tai Quanzhong cried out in pain. His huge body flew far away, and he fell to the ground. His steel-like body was covered with lightning, and it was also covered with blood vessels. Defeated. Tai Quanzhong was defeated. He couldn't even fight back in front of Xiao Changkong. Countless people were shocked. This young man from the Cloud Emperor mountain range was so terrifying. On the spectator stand, Lu Xiao was trembling with excitement. The 2 geniuses from the Cloud Emperor mountain range had both entered the second round. This was unbelievable. Although Lu Ming had entered the second round by luck, it was still the second round, wasn't it? At the edge of the fighting stage, Zhang Sheng's eyes flashed with killing intent. He looked at Xiao Changkong with a serious expression. What a powerful aura. No, it can't be called aura anymore. It contains a trace of intent. What kind of fortuitous encounter did Xiao Changkong have during this period? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Xiao Changkong's cultivation was only at the early level 9 martial ancestor realm, but his aura was extremely powerful. Lu Ming felt that his aura contained a trace of intent. This was something that only a half-step king could grasp. Interesting, interesting. Lu Ming muttered, and his battle intent surged. Cloud Emperor Mountain Range, Xiao Changkong wins. The middle-aged man announced. Chapter 426. Next, number 4 versus number 13. The middle-aged custodian announced. 2 more peerless geniuses were sent onto the stage. Without further ado, the battle began. Both of them were geniuses who had won 4 battles, but one of them had reached the early stage of the 9th layer martial ancestor realm, while the other was still at the peak 8th layer martial ancestor realm. Naturally, the ninth-layer martial ancestor realm geniuses had an absolute advantage and defeated their opponents. The battles continued as the geniuses stepped forward one after another. Lu Ming discovered that some of the geniuses possessed outstanding cultivations. One of them had reached the late stage of the ninth-layer martial ancestor realm, while the other had reached the mid-stage of the ninth-layer martial ancestor realm. Xiaofan was sent onto the stage too. His cultivation had improved tremendously as well, reaching the mid-stage of the ninth-layer martial ancestor realm, allowing him to enter the second round with an absolute advantage. 2 hours later, the 8 pairs of geniuses had finished their battles. The 8 geniuses who had entered the second round had all appeared. Of course, including Lu Ming who had received a bye, there were 9 of them in total. The remaining 8 geniuses were thus eliminated. The middle-aged enforcer took their jade tablets back, leaving only the jade tablets numbered 1 to 8, and of course, the jade tablet with the free pass. The middle-aged custodian waved his hand and emitted his qi, which encapsulated the 9 badges and erased all traces on them. This was to prevent anyone from tampering with the badges and leaving their auras or marks. Following this, the 9 badges floated in the air while emitting a faint glow. The rules are the same as before. There are 8 badges numbered 1 to 8. Draw lots to determine your opponent. Number 1 against number 8, number 2 against number 7, and so on. The one who draws the Bai Jade badge will proceed to the next round. The middle-aged custodian announced. I'll go first. Zhang Sheng was still extremely confident. He waved his hand and summoned a badge into his hand. Following this, Lu Ming, Qiu Changkong, Xiaofan, and the others each drew a badge. Who will draw the Bai Jade badge this time? In the spectator seats, everyone's eyes were bright and they were very curious. Although the winner of the Bai Jade badge might not necessarily secure the throne of the divine guards of the eastern sky, it would greatly reduce the consumption of qi and stamina, making the next round easier. On the stage, the crowd checked their badges. Lu Ming also flipped the jade token to take a look. He was instantly stunned at one glance. Bai, another Bai. Lu Ming actually drew the Bai Jade card again. My luck is too good. I've drawn the Bai Jade token twice in a row. Lu Ming mumbled, somewhat speechless. To be honest, if he could, he really did not want to get the Bai Jade token. If he always got the Bai, how could he torture Qiu Changkong? Now, give me your numbers. The middle-aged man said. I'm number 6. Zhang Sheng was the first to speak. I'm number 5. Qiu Changkong said. I'm number 1. I'm number 3. The remaining people reported their numbers one by one. As the number of people decreased, there were only 2 people left. One was Lu Ming, and the other was a fatty with big eyes. Everyone's eyes were focused on the 2 of them. There are only 2 people left. That Lu Ming hasn't reported his number yet. Could it be that he's going to get a Bai again? That shouldn't be possible. How could he draw the empty round card twice in a row? I'm number 8. While everyone was discussing, the fatty with big eyes opened the jade token. He looked at Lu Ming with a complicated gaze and reported his number loudly. Immediately, swish, swish, countless gazes fell on Lu Ming. Nest, it's him again, it's actually him again. It's really him, how is this possible? Did he run into dog shit luck? He really ran into dog shit luck. After drawing the Bai Jade token, he directly entered the third round. The audience was in an uproar as they discussed animatedly. In the elders area, Lu Xiu was also a little stunned. How could this be? Didn't Lu Ming directly enter the third round? Countless envious gazes fell on Lu Xiu. If Lu Ming's luck was good, didn't that mean Lu Xiu's luck was good as well? Although it was impossible for Lu Ming to obtain the throne of the Eastern Sky Divine Guards, the higher his ranking, the higher Lu Xiu's reward would be. How could they not be jealous? Jian Fengyun, Jiang Hongwen, and the rest were dumbfounded. Even the middle-aged law enforcer looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. Lu Ming smiled bitterly, rubbed his nose, and opened his jade token. He said helplessly, "I got the Bai jade token." As expected. It's him again. Everyone roared in their hearts. Alright, now that the drawing of lots is over, the battle begins, number 1 against number 8. The middle-aged law enforcer announced. 2 figures walked to the center. One of them was the big-eyed fatty, and the other was Xian Feng. The others walked to the edge of the stage. Lu Ming, you're really lucky. However, it's useless to rely on luck. In the end, you still have to rely on your abilities. The higher you climb with luck now, the worse you'll fall in the future without any abilities. Qiu Changkong walked past Lu Ming and said coldly. Is that so? Let me tell you, I got the Bai Jade token because your luck is good. I'll let you be rampant for a few more rounds. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Humph, you're good at talking. Killing intent flashed across Qiu Changkong's eyes. He walked to the side and did not say anything else. Qiu Changkong, I hope you can walk to the end. Otherwise, how can I beat you? Lu Ming thought to himself. Boom! A great battle broke out in the center of the stage. Yuan Feng sword art. Gallop of the barbarian statue. 2 loud shouts were heard. Xian Feng's sword chi swept across the sky, as if it could cut the sky. It was extremely terrifying. As for the big-eyed fatty, his combat strength was also very strong. He was like a giant barbarian statue, charging around and destroying Xian Feng's sword chi. The 2 of them exchanged 50 to 60 blows. In the end, Xian Feng's cultivation was higher, while the big-eyed fatty was only at the early stage of Martial Ancestor Realm 9. He could not defeat Xian Feng and lost. Xian Feng entered the 3rd round. The spectators could not help but sigh. The geniuses from the ancient desolate city were indeed powerful. They were the best in the entire eastern Tianxian region. The battle continued. Soon, it was Qiu Changkong's turn. His opponent was a middle-stage Martial Ancestor Realm 9 genius, whose cultivation was higher than Qiu Changkong's. But surprisingly, he was still no match for Qiu Changkong. Qiu Changkong defeated his opponent in a crushing manner. Intent Realm, that's Intent Realm. Qiu Changkong has actually comprehended a trace of Thunder Intent Realm. No wonder he's so powerful. Genius, he's really a genius. As long as his cultivation reaches the peak of Martial Ancestor Realm 9, he'll be a half-step king. This time, the Eastern Sky Divine Guard will most likely be him. There were many experts in the spectators, and many of them were half-step kings. Naturally, they saw through the secret. Lu Ming, do you see the gap between us? Do you feel despair? Qiu Changkong walked to the side and another voice entered Lu Ming's ears. Idiot. Lu Ming curled his lips and ignored it. You. Qiu Changkong felt as if he had punched the air. He was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. Next, it was Zhangsheng's turn. Chapter 427. Zhangsheng placed his hands behind his back and walked to the side in a domineering manner. He glanced at Qiu Changkong with a murderous gaze. As for Lu Ming, he completely ignored him. A guy who only relied on his luck was not worthy of his attention. After Zhangsheng, it was time for the final round. There was not much suspense in this round. One was a late-stage 9th-layer Martial Ancestor Realm genius, while the other was an early-stage 9th-layer Martial Ancestor Realm genius. Both of them had experienced 4 battles, thus it was difficult for them to turn the tables when their cultivations were weaker. After exchanging over 20 blows, the late-stage 9th-layer Martial Ancestor Realm genius emerged victorious. The late-stage 9th layer martial ancestor realm genius was called Song Yen. He was a genius from a huge region with a cold expression. At this moment, the 5 geniuses entering the 3rd round were born. They were Zongsheng, Qiu Changkong, Xianfeng, Song Yen, and Lu Ming. That being said, Lu Ming was completely ignored by the crowd. Until now, Lu Ming had yet to make a move. In the crowd's opinion, he was only lucky. This time, the East Sky Divine Guards would be chosen among the 5 geniuses. Most of the crowd had high hopes for Zongsheng and Qiu Changkong. Now, let's proceed with the last draw. The rules are the same, number 1 to 4. The last one will be given a bye. The middle-aged judge announced. Following this, the judge erased the auras from the badges and placed the 5 badges in the air. This time, Lu Ming decided not to make a move. He stood there and waited. Zongsheng, Qiu Changkong, and the others each chose a badge. Only the last badge was left, which Lu Ming kept. I wonder who will get the bye badge this time. No matter who it is, I bet it won't be Lu Ming. If he manages to get the bye badge, I'll take off my clothes and run around here. So cruel? Exactly, because I don't believe there's anyone with such good luck in this world. A variety of voices could be heard from the crowd. On the fighting ring, Lu Ming flipped his badge over and glanced at it. His face was filled with a strange expression. Bye badge, he had drawn the bye badge again. Even Lu Ming's lips were trembling when he drew the empty round card for the 3rd time. Report your numbers. The middle-aged man said. Number 1. Zongsheng opened the jade tablet. I'm number 2. Qiu Wuyang opened the jade token. I'm number 4. Song Yen said. In the end, Xianfeng gave Lu Ming a strange look, opened the jade tag and said, I'm number 3. Silence. When Xianfeng flipped open the jade token, the entire place went silent. Everyone was silent as they stared blankly at Lu Ming. Then, their eyes widened. A moment later, an earth-shattering clamor rang out. Nest nest, nest nest, nest nest nest, it's him again, it's him again, it's him again. This is too heaven-defying, isn't it? He got the bye card again and directly entered the top 3. He entered the top 3 without even fighting. This is really blinding. This is too unfair. Some people were already speaking incoherently. Hey, what did you say just now? If Lu Ming draws the bye card again, you should strip naked and run away on the spot. Now, hurry up. What? What? What did you say? Why can't I hear you? Oh no, I'm suddenly deaf. No, I have to find an inscription master to take a look. The wretched man who threatened to strip naked pretended to be dumb and found an excuse to slip away. Nest nest, this guy is so shameless. He didn't keep his word. Someone cursed. In short, the entire place was in chaos. As for Lu Xiu, Jian Fengyun, Jiang Hongwen, and the rest, they were completely petrified. They were tongue-tied and didn't know what to say. As for the middle-aged man from Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, his eyelids were twitching non-stop. However, no one noticed that Lu Ming was also sighing and opening the jade token slowly and helplessly. The word "bye" was clearly written. I object, this is unfair. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard. In an instant, all the voices disappeared. The entire place became so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Everyone was stunned. Everyone's eyes were focused on the person who had shouted. The person who shouted that it was unfair was actually Lu Ming. It was Lu Ming. Everyone was in a mess. Big brother, you're the one who drew the bye card, and you're the one who drew the bye card again and again. Now, you're actually shouting that it's unfair? If this was unfair, wouldn't the others vomit blood? Even Zongsheng, Qiu Changkong, and the rest couldn't stop their mouths from twitching. They were completely dumbfounded by Lu Ming. How is it unfair? The middle-aged man took a deep breath to calm himself down and asked. The others can fight and have their own opponents, but I don't. Every time, I have to watch others fight. It's so boring. It's unfair. Lu Ming shouted. He did think so in his heart. What the hell was he doing? If Qiu Changkong was defeated by others, how could he torture him? How could he avenge Lu Yuntian? The others didn't know what he was thinking. In an instant, the entire place burst into an uproar. Nestle, this guy is too despicable. He's simply taking advantage of others. I can't take it anymore. I really can't take it anymore. Heavens, earth, send down a bolt of lightning and strike him to death. The place was in an uproar. Others couldn't even draw the buy card even if they wanted to. Yet, he got it every time and even felt uncomfortable about it. Protector, why don't I exchange with someone else? Xianfeng, it's him. I'll exchange with him. Lu Ming said. Xianfeng's opponent happened to be Qiu Changkong. No, this is the rule of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The rules can't be ignored. Since you've drawn the buy card, you'll get the buy card. The middle-aged man said while gritting his teeth. He had never mentioned the rules of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace because of this. I see. Sigh, all right then. Lu Ming sighed and walked to the platform. With a wave of his hand, he actually took out a chair and sat down. He stared at the center of the platform in a daze. He had a look of reluctance and helplessness on his face. Seeing this scene, everyone gritted their teeth. Even Jian Fengyun and the others felt the same. They couldn't wait to slash Lu Ming with their swords. He was really too hateful. The middle-aged man's eyelids suddenly twitched a few times. He took a deep breath and coughed dryly a few times before saying, "Silence." Only then did the place slowly quiet down. All right, next, the battle begins. Number 1, Zhang Sheng, versus number 4, Song Yan. The middle-aged man announced. Qiu Changkong and Xianfeng walked to the side, leaving only Zhang Sheng and Song Yan in the center of the platform. Song Yan, right? Hurry up and admit defeat. You're not my opponent. Zhang Sheng looked at Song Yan with contempt. Shameless boasting. Zhang Sheng, although you're strong, I'm not afraid of you. This time, I'm determined to get the Eastern Sky Divine Guard. Song Yan held his battle saber and his saber aura soared into the sky. With just you? You want to get the Eastern Sky Divine Guard? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Since that's the case, I'll show you the gap between us. Boom. Chapter 428. Zhang Shou's aura burst out and his essence surged like a smoke signal. His body was covered with powerful genuine qi and the genuine qi flowed like liquid. Such terrifying genuine qi. He is at the peak of Martial Ancestor Realm 9. Zhang Shou has reached the peak of Martial Ancestor Realm 9. Terrifying. It seems that no one is his match. Perhaps only Qiu Changkong, who has comprehended a bit of the intent realm, has a chance. Zhang Shou's full strength burst out and caused a commotion. Many people were shocked. Previously, Zhang Shou had not used his full strength and no one knew his true cultivation level. Now that he had used his full strength, it was shocking. Song Yan also had a serious look in his eyes. Boundless saber. Song Yan shouted. Clang. Above his head, 8 huge sabers appeared. The sabers were engraved with boundless mountains. It was a marvelous sight. Moreover, the sabers were surrounded by 6 chakras. That was Song Yan's bloodline. It was a special bloodline. So what if you have a special bloodline? Come out, blood dragon! Zhang Shou roared. There was a flash of crimson light above his head and a huge crimson dragon appeared. It was also a level 6 imperial bloodline. Their bloodlines had exploded and their auras reached the peak. However, it was obvious that Zhang Shou was stronger. Wave after wave of aura pressed down on Song Yan. Song Yan's face changed and he shouted, "Boundless mountain slash!" Buzz! A dazzling saber radiance shot out from Song Yan's hand. It was 100 meters long and 10 meters wide. It was dazzling and it slashed down on Zhang Shou. Looks impressive but not impressive. Zhang Shou roared. He rushed up and his claws were like the claws of a blood dragon. The space rumbled as his claws pierced through the space and grabbed the saber radiance. Break! Zhang Shou roared and grabbed the saber radiance. It shattered like glass. Swoosh! Zhang Shou's body flashed and he pounced on Song Yan. In an instant, he was in front of Song Yan. Song Yan's face changed. He had not expected Zhang Shou to break through his attack so easily. Boundless earth-shattering blow. Song Yan roared and waved his saber. A mountain appeared above his head and in front of him. The two mountains were filled with boundless desolate qi. One protected Song Yan and the other suppressed Zhang Shou. Dragon-devouring finger. Zhang Sheng snorted coldly and changed his claws into fingers. His fingers flickered with a pitch-black luster as they pierced towards the two boundless mountains. Bang! Bang! The two mountains exploded like balloons in Zhang Sheng's hand. The finger force did not stop, striking toward Song Yan. Clang! At the crucial moment, Song Yan used his saber to block in front of his body. With a loud clang, his body flew out like a cannonball as he coughed up large amounts of blood. Song Yan is going to lose. Isn't this a little too fast? We've only exchanged a few moves. How can buried life be so strong? Surpassing a battle 4 genius. Buried life definitely surpasses a battle 4 genius. He's somewhere between a battle 4 and a battle 5 genius. Terrifying, too terrifying. There is actually someone who can surpass the 4th battle genius. Everyone in the audience was shocked beyond words. The strongest experts of the super regions were usually 4th battle geniuses. 4th battle geniuses were already the limit, and it was extremely rare for them to surpass the 4th battle geniuses. Every one of them was a rare genius. Life burial had actually reached this level. How terrifying. Whoosh! Now that Zhang Sheng had the upper hand, his attacks rained down on Song Yan like a storm. Dragon Devour Palm. Boom! Zhang Sheng turned his finger into a palm and struck toward Song Yan. This time, Song Yan was in an even worse state. Although he tried his best to block, he was still sent flying. He slid a few hundred meters along the fighting stage as blood splattered all over the ground. I surrender, I admit defeat. Song Yan yelled crazily as soon as he caught his breath. There was no need for him to continue fighting. Song Yan knew that he was no match for Zhang Sheng. Not only was his cultivation weaker, but his ability to fight against those with a higher cultivation level was also weaker. If he continued to fight, he would only be asking for a beating. Humph, why didn't you just admit defeat? You really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Zhang Sheng snorted with contempt. Song Yan's face turned ugly. He struggled to get up and walked to the side of the fighting stage. Qiu Chongkong looked at Zhang Sheng solemnly with a frown. Next battle, number 2 Qiu Chongkong versus number 3 Xian Feng. The middle-aged guardian announced. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures flashed and appeared in the middle of the fighting stage. Qiu Chongkong and Xian Feng carried their battle swords on their backs and stood straight. Xian Feng, you're no match for me. Just admit defeat. My opponent is Zongsheng. There's no need for you to struggle. Qiu Changkong said. Who knows if you'll win before the battle? Xianfeng's eyes were as sharp as a sword. He waved his hand and a battle sword appeared in his hand. Stubborn and ignorant. Then you'll lose. Qiu Changkong said coldly. Sword chi shot up into the sky. Two dazzling sword lights collided with each other. Qiu Changkong had comprehended the force of thunder and a trace of intent realm. On the other hand, Xian Feng had comprehended the force of metal. Both of their attacks were extremely domineering. Clang! Clang! The crowd could only see the two sword lights colliding in the air. In an instant, they had collided more than 10 times. Whoosh! Then, a figure flew back and stopped at the side of the fighting stage. It was Xian Feng. Puff! Xian Feng's body suddenly trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, the crowd saw a deep sword wound on Xian Feng's chest. It was so deep that the bones could be seen. However, not a single drop of blood flowed out. That was because the wound was filled with the power of thunder. As soon as the blood flowed out, it was evaporated by the power of thunder. Xian Feng, if it was a battle of life and death, you'd already be dead. Qiu Changkong looked at Xian Feng proudly. I've lost. Xian Feng sighed and did not say anything else. Although Xian Feng's cultivation was slightly higher than Qiu Changkong's, Qiu Changkong had comprehended a trace of the intent of thunder. The gap was too big and hard to make up for. Xian Feng was no match for him. Following Xian Feng's defeat, the crowd started to discuss again. The top two are out. Qiu Changkong and Zongsheng. This time, the Eastern Sky Divine Guard will definitely be one of them. Top 2? Aren't they the top 3? Top 3? Lu Ming can forget about it. He relied on luck to get here. When the battle starts, he'll be lucky if he can block one of Qiu Changkong and Zongsheng's attacks. That's true. Did you guys notice that none of the top 3 are from the super regions? This is really rare. Yeah. Old Lu, I didn't expect that there would be 2 people from the Cloud Emperor Mountain range that would enter the top 3. Although one of them relied on luck, I still have to congratulate him. Someone from the Elders area congratulated Lu Xiu. Luck. Lu Xiu was already grinning from ear to ear. At the side, Zhao Sui's eyes were red with jealousy. This battle is won by Qiu Changkong. Now, the top 3 are out. Next, the 3 of you will take turns to fight. The one who wins all of them will be the Eastern Sky Divine Guard. Chapter 429. Aya, it's finally my turn to fight. I'm about to fall asleep. At the side of the fighting ring, Lu Ming stood up slowly. With a wave of his hand, he put away the chair and walked toward the center of the fighting ring. This guy, the others were speechless. The battle between Qiu Changkong and Zongsheng ended in a few moves. However, Lu Ming said that he was about to fall asleep. This was obviously infuriating. Especially those young geniuses who were defeated. They were gritting their teeth. I'm actually ranked behind this guy. I'm really unwilling to accept this. Yeah, this guy is purely lucky. If I meet him, I'll finish him in 3 moves. A few geniuses from the super regions gritted their teeth as they discussed. They didn't lower their voices. Their voices were heard by many people. Lu Ming naturally heard it too. Hee. Lu Ming laughed and came to the center of the stage. He stood in a triangle with Qiu Changkong and Zongsheng. This guy is too much of a hindrance. Let me finish him first. Zongsheng's eyes flashed coldly. A powerful aura burst out from his body and suppressed Lu Ming. Clang! With a flash of sword light, Qiu Changkong unsheathed his sword and cut off Zhang Sheng's aura. He said coldly, "He's mine. Zhang Sheng, I'll finish him first and then fight you." "Yours? Why? I've been unhappy with this guy for a long time. This time, I must finish him." "Qiu Changkong, don't worry. I won't make you wait too long. I can finish him in 2 moves." Zhang Sheng said coldly. "No, Lu Ming is mine." Qiu Changkong didn't budge. The audience was stunned for a moment before they sighed. Lu Ming is finished. Zhang Sheng and Qiu Changkong have their eyes on him. Does this guy have a grudge with both Qiu Changkong and Zhang Sheng? I think so. If I were Lu Ming, I'd admit defeat immediately. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. I bet he's going to admit defeat. Otherwise, I'll take off all my clothes and run around the place. "Nest, it's you again. Weren't you deaf just now? Why did you come back?" "Nonsense, such an exciting battle only happens once every 5 years. How could I miss it? This time, you said that you can't go back on your word." "I will never go back on my word. Prepare the D Tian Divine Guards and the D Tian Divine Guard region." Jian Fengyun, Jiang Hongwen, and the others had worried looks in their eyes. "Lu Ming, will you admit defeat?" The Sword Wind and Cloud whispered. Based on his understanding of Lu Ming, he felt that Lu Ming would not admit defeat. Even if he could not win, he would still fight. Boom! Boom! On the platform, 2 auras erupted, clashing against each other. They were Qiu Changkong and Zhang Sheng. "Zhang Sheng, Lu Ming and I are from the same country. We have a grudge. This time, let me have him." Qiu Changkong stared at Zhang Sheng. "He has a grudge with you?" "Huh, let me tell you, he has a grudge with me as well. I have to deal with him personally." Burial path. At the side, Lu Ming was speechless. These 2 fellows dared to treat him like air, like dough that could be kneaded at will. "In that case, you 2 are so noisy and full of nonsense. Are you done yet? If you're done, then come at me together. I'm too lazy to deal with you one by one." Lu Ming's faint voice spread out, but it swept across the entire place like a storm. Everyone at the scene was petrified in an instant. They only knew to open their eyes wide and stare blankly at the platform. After a while, there was an earth-shattering uproar. What did Lu Ming say? What does he mean? He wants to challenge Qiu Changkong and Zhang Sheng at the same time. He's crazy, he's crazy. Did he get the empty round card 3 times in a row and his brain was damaged? Challenging Qiu Changkong and Zhang Sheng at the same time, he's definitely looking for a beating. I know, he knows that he can't kill in this battle. He wants to use this to cause a commotion and gain fame. Even if he's beaten half to death, he won't really die. It makes sense, it makes sense. Hey, didn't you say that if Lu Ming doesn't admit defeat, you'll strip naked and run around? Now, quick. Don't go back on your words. Ah. It's over, my eyes are blind, I can't see. Oh no, I'm going to find an inscriber. After saying that, the person quickly slipped away. Of course, he didn't really slip away, but secretly hid in a corner and watched the battle. He didn't want to miss such an exciting event. Oh my, I knew he was going to act shamelessly. Lu Xiu, Jian Fengyun, and the others were also stunned. Lu Ming's actions are indeed unexpected. Jian Fengyun exclaimed. He originally thought that Lu Ming wouldn't admit defeat and would accept the challenge, but he didn't expect that Lu Ming would actually challenge Qiu Changkong and Zhang Sheng at the same time. In the sky, the middle-aged guardian was also shocked and looked at Lu Ming curiously. As for Qiu Changkong and Zhang Sheng, they were completely stunned. The 2 of them were stunned and thought that they had heard wrongly. What? What did you say? Zhang Sheng repeated. Are you deaf? I said to let the two of you come at me together, stop wasting my time. Lu Ming said loudly. Ha ha ha. Qiu Changkong suddenly burst into laughter and said, Lu Ming, do you think it's useful to throw caution to the wind? Do you want to use the rule of not taking your life to show your pride and courage? Alright, I'll break all the bones in your body later. I'll see how you're going to show your pride and courage then. Qiu Changkong also thought that Lu Ming was using the rule of not taking lives to show himself. However, if he couldn't take lives, Qiu Changkong had many ways to make Lu Ming miserable. Qiu Changkong, I'm afraid that you'll admit defeat when the time comes. Lu Ming smiled faintly and said. I admit defeat? Huh, I admit defeat? Don't worry, if I admit defeat, I'll withdraw from the Imperial Sky Divine Guards. Qiu Changkong sneered. Guardian, is Lu Ming's request feasible? At this moment, Zhangsheng looked at the middle-aged guardian. Yes, the rules of the competition didn't say that one person can't challenge two people at the same time. The middle-aged guardian nodded. All right. Zhangsheng looked at Lu Ming and said coldly, Qiu Changkong, since he's asking for death, let's satisfy him. Before he admits defeat, break all the bones in his body. I'll take care of the left side and you take care of the right side. We'll fight after we finish him off. All right, let's do it. Qiu Changkong said with a ferocious expression. Are you done discussing? If you are, let's do it. Boom. As soon as Lu Ming finished his words, he stomped his foot towards Qiu Changkong's face. 9 dragons ascending sky steps. His speed was unbelievably fast. When he took a step, the whole world rumbled and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Qiu Changkong. You. Qiu Changkong was shocked. Qiu Changkong was taken aback. He did not expect Lu Ming to strike as he pleased. Moreover, the power of this kick was too terrifying. Ah! Chapter 430. Blood Dragon Claw. Zhangsheng reacted in time and threw out Claw Radiance. Chi, the force of the Claw Radiance kept counteracting the power of Lu Ming's 9 dragon sky-stomping steps. However, the two of them were in a hurry and their power was limited. Although they kept counteracting the power of Lu Ming's kick, they couldn't stop it completely. Lu Ming continued to step forward. Bam! He crushed the lightning ball in front of Qiu Changkong and stomped on his face. Qiu Changkong screamed and his body flew back. He rolled on the ground for more than 10 times before he stood up. However, his face was swollen and blood was flowing out of the corner of his mouth. Especially the footprint that was clearly imprinted on Qiu Changkong's face. This, everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Lu Ming was too shameless. He actually made a move as he pleased without any warning. However, they were more shocked by Lu Ming's strength. He kicked Qiu Changkong away in front of Zhangsheng and Qiu Changkong. If he wasn't strong enough, even a sneak attack wouldn't work. However, Lu Ming was able to do it. It was enough to show how strong he was. Ah! Qiu Changkong screamed crazily. He was furious. He was careless and was kicked in the face by Lu Ming. This was a great humiliation. He wanted to skin Lu Ming alive. Lu Ming, I swear I'm not a human if I don't kill you. Qiu Changkong roared. He was completely crazy. His body was covered in lightning as he unleashed his full strength without holding back. Thunder Sword, Destruction of the World. His battle sword was unsheathed, and a sword of thunder and lightning seemed to have come from the heavens, cutting through the firmament. Dragon Devouring Finger. At the same time, Zhangsheng also attacked and used his trump card. There was no doubt that both of them had activated their bloodline power. The two of them attacked at the same time and their power was boundless. It was as if they could destroy everything. They attacked Lu Ming. Everyone widened their eyes and looked at the fighting ring. Would Lu Ming be able to block it? Although Lu Ming's kick earlier contained a powerful force, Zhou Changkong had only been hit by it due to a moment of carelessness. That was what most people thought. Now, facing the full strength of Zhou Changkong and Zhang Sheng, did Lu Ming still have a chance? He wouldn't be beaten to death, would he? That would be breaking the rules. Bang! Lu Ming bent his legs and then bounced up. His figure soared into the sky, reaching a height of 1,000 meters in an instant. Lu Ming, don't even think about escaping. Kill! Zhang Sheng and Zhou Changkong roared. They changed the direction of their attacks and continued to attack Lu Ming. Escaped? Who escaped? Lu Ming whispered as a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Boom! A huge steel rushed out while 5 silver chakras flashed before rushing back into Lu Ming's body. 5 chakras, 5th grade king class bloodline. Lu Ming only has a 5th grade king class bloodline. Did you see that? His cultivation is only at the peak of the 8th grade martial ancestor realm. With such combat strength, he actually challenged Zhou Changkong and Zhang Sheng at the same time. What a joke. It turns out that he has been relying on luck all this time. That kick earlier was just a deliberate move. As soon as Lu Ming's aura erupted, it caused a wave of contempt and mockery. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhou Changkong and Zhang Sheng's attacks instantly closed in on Lu Ming. 9 dragons stomping the sky. Lu Ming looked down from above and took a step forward. The roar of a dragon resounded, shaking the heavens and earth. A mighty force pressed down. This move again. Break for me! Zhou Changkong roared. He had comprehended a trace of lightning force, raising his attack power to a terrifying level. The power of the lightning sword exploded and broke Lu Ming's 9 dragons stomping the sky steps. At the same time, Zhang Sheng pointed his finger and Lu Ming's 9 dragons stomping the sky steps instantly collapsed. Die! The two of them roared. However, Lu Ming's face was calm as he took another step forward. The second step was the second step of the 9 dragons stomping the sky steps. It was another step on the foundation of the first step. Each step of the 9 dragons stomping the sky steps was stronger than the previous one. With each additional step, the power would increase crazily. With Lu Ming's current physical body and the strength of his true qi, the second step was comparable to the first stage of a heaven-class martial skill. Boom! The heavens and earth shook as if a true dragon was inspecting the world. The space shook violently and a crazy force gushed out. Bam! Bam! Zhang Sheng and Zhou Changkong's bodies trembled as their expressions drastically changed. Their attacks instantly collapsed. After that, they felt an incomparably powerful energy gushing towards them. The two of them felt as though they had been struck by an immemorial mountain. Their bodies were like meteors as they fell to the ground. Boom! Boom! The two of them stepped on the fighting stage and the platform rumbled. Their faces turned pale and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Hiss hiss hiss, gasps could be heard from the audience. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at the young man in the air in disbelief. He had repelled Zhang Sheng and Zhou Changkong's joint attack with one move and he had even gained the upper hand. Is this Lu Ming's strength? This is unbelievable. Isn't this too terrifying? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Did I see wrongly? Did Lu Ming defeat Zhang Sheng and Zhou Changkong in one move? Unbelievable. Lu Ming's cultivation is only at the peak of martial ancestor realm 8. How terrifying is he? How many battles does he have? How can this be? How can there be such a powerful genius in this world? Countless people were so shocked that they were speechless. Zhang Sheng was already at the peak of martial ancestor realm 9. He was one level higher than Lu Ming. Moreover, Zhongsheng was a genius who had surpassed the 4 battles genius. In total, he was 5 levels higher than an ordinary peak martial ancestor realm 8. Lu Ming could still suppress Zhongsheng. Didn't that mean that Lu Ming was a 6 battles genius? A 6 battles genius. Everyone's hearts trembled at the thought of this. A 4th battle genius was already a rare genius. Then what kind of concept was a 6th battle genius? The crowd could not imagine it. Previously, Lu Ming had drawn an empty round 3 times in a row. Everyone thought that he was just lucky and that he would have been defeated long ago if he were to fight. Now, they realized that they were completely wrong. If Lu Ming were to fight, he would be able to defeat them easily. At the edge of the fighting ring, the geniuses who had been defeated turned pale. In particular, a few of them had shamelessly said that if Lu Ming were to fight them, he would be able to defeat them in 3 moves. Now, their faces were burning and they wished they could find a hole to hide in. It was really embarrassing. In the elders' area, Lu Xiao was stunned at first. Then, his body began to tremble as if he was having a seizure. Excitement, he was really too excited. Like the others, he had thought that Lu Ming was just lucky. Now, he realized that Lu Ming was a rare genius. Even the middle-aged guardian's eyes narrowed. Then, he was pleasantly surprised. This time, a rare genius has finally appeared. The middle-aged guardian was overjoyed. How can this be? This is impossible. How can Lu Ming be so powerful? On the fighting ring, Zhou Changkong shouted hysterically. He could not accept this. Chapter 431. The two of them couldn't believe their eyes. Even with their combined strength, they were still defeated by Lu Ming in 1 move. Their blood surged and they almost vomited blood. What's so impossible about it? Just because you haven't seen it before doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Lu Ming looked down at them from above. When Lu Ming had advanced to the 7th level of the true dragon of combat arts, his combat strength had already surpassed that of a 5 battle talent. When he had mastered the heaven-level martial arts technique, his combat strength had completely entered that of a 6 battle talent. A heaven-class martial technique was too powerful and had a terrifying increase in battle strength. A heaven-class martial technique was extremely rare and difficult to cultivate. Many low-level kings didn't even have a heaven-class martial technique or hadn't successfully cultivated one. From this, one could see how rare and powerful a heaven-class martial technique was. Even if Lu Ming's cultivation was lower than Zhongsheng's by a level, his battle strength was still half a level higher than Zhongsheng's. Impossible, I'm the strongest. Lu Ming, you're just an ant that has always lived in my light. Zhou Changkong roared as the power of lightning radiated from his body. It was as if he was wearing a lightning coat. After comprehending a trace of lightning intent, he had already surpassed the power of lightning and was about to completely control it. Once he completely comprehended the intent and condensed a rune, he would be able to completely control the intent of heaven and earth. For example, if someone comprehended the intent of fire and condensed a rune, he would be able to transform into a fire god and control all the flames in the world. If someone comprehended the intent of lightning, they would be able to control all the lightning in the world. That was already the king realm and was extremely powerful. Zhou Changkong had only comprehended a trace of the intent of lightning and was still far from condensing a rune. Kill. Lightning sword, sky break. Zhou Changkong roared and used all his strength to execute his strongest move. Dragon devour, palm. Zhongsheng also threw a palm at Lu Ming. Feudal struggle. Zhou Changkong, you said that you wanted me to see the difference between us. Now, open your dog eyes and see for me. Lu Ming's mocking voice rang out as the demon-banishing spear appeared in his hand. 3 arts of the dragon god, true dragon strike. As the long spear thrust out, the spiritual energy of the world surged wildly. A true dragon with two colors, green and red, appeared. The two-colored true dragon was 100 meters long. With a loud roar, its roar shook the heavens and earth as it pounced towards Qiu Changkong and Zhongsheng. The three ultimate skills of the dragon god, which required two forces to cultivate, was a true heaven-class martial skill. It was even stronger than the second step of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Boom! The two-colored true dragon collided with the attacks of the two. In the sky, an incomparably dazzling light shone. Then, the entire space trembled as if it was the end of the world. After a while, when the dazzling light dissipated, the crowd saw two figures falling down from the stage like cannonballs. They were Zhongsheng and Qiu Changkong. Boom! Boom! The two of them were like two toads, heavily falling on the fighting stage. The fighting stage rumbled and the two of them coughed up blood. However, the gap between the two could be seen. Zhongsheng coughed up a mouthful of blood and hurriedly got up. His body was covered in a bloody light as he stared at Lu Ming, who was in the sky. On the other hand, Qiu Changkong was half kneeling on the ground. His body was trembling non-stop and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. His injuries were more serious than Zhongsheng's. Qiu Changkong, do you understand now? Lu Ming looked down at him. Ah, Qiu Changkong roared furiously. He was mad with hatred. He felt that he had been humiliated endlessly. He shouted crazily, damn it, Lu Ming, you deserve to die. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to annihilate the Mystic Essence Sword sect and kill your parents with my own hands. Ha ha ha. Qiu Changkong laughed crazily. Die. In response to Qiu Changkong, Lu Ming only said the word die coldly and mercilessly. At this moment, Lu Ming's body was emitting an extremely cold killing intent. It was as if he had transformed into a killing god. 9 dragons heaven-stomping steps. Lu Ming roared and took a step forward. The world rumbled. Block. Dragon Devour Fist. Buried Life roared. His palm turned into a fist, and he threw out 2 punches in a row. Qiu Changkong also roared and slashed out. Bam! A loud boom was heard and Lu Ming's first step was blocked. However, Lu Ming took a second step. Qiu Changkong screamed again and was pressed to the ground by the powerful force. He spat out blood. Zhongsheng's body slid a few hundred meters and left a trail of blood on the fighting ring. 9 dragons stomping the sky. However, before the two of them could catch their breaths, Lu Ming took 2 consecutive steps forward. This time, he was aiming at Zhongsheng. Ah, I admit defeat, I admit defeat. Zhongsheng was finally scared. He screamed in horror and tried his best to resist. Bam! Zhongsheng was pressed to the fighting ring by the power of the 9 dragons stomping the sky. He was almost flattened. The sound of bones cracking could be heard from his body. He had no idea how many of his bones were broken. The whole place was dead silent. Time and space seemed to have frozen at this moment. It was as if there was only one person left in the world. A young and handsome figure was floating in the air. Whoosh! After a while, the whole place was in an uproar. Oh my God, Lu Ming won. Lu Ming actually won. Moreover, he won in an overwhelming manner. He's too powerful. Qiu Changkong and Zhongsheng couldn't resist him at all. He's only at the peak of martial ancestor realm 8. Who said that he was just lucky? How is he lucky? It's obvious that the others are lucky. If he had gone up earlier, Qiu Changkong and Zhongsheng wouldn't have made it to the last round. They might have been defeated by Lu Ming. I didn't say that. On the contrary, I always thought that since Lu Ming could draw an empty round card, he must be blessed by the heavens. He's definitely extraordinary. No, I don't remember you saying that. You were so sure that Lu Ming was just lucky and even mocked him. No way. There's definitely no such thing. I knew that he's a rare genius. Why would I mock him? Definitely not. The place was in an uproar. There were shouts and arguments. It was as if that was the only way to express the shock in their hearts. Lu Ming reached out his hand and sucked Zhongsheng's storage ring into his hand. No, you can't, Zhongsheng roared. What are you shouting for? You've lost. This is my trophy. Lu Ming reprimanded. Zhongsheng had killed countless geniuses in the dragon's cave. The storage rings of those geniuses had all fallen into his hands. Lu Ming was still thinking about it. Zhongsheng's eyes turned red. There were endless resources in that storage ring. It was the capital for his rise. Now, it was all in Lu Ming's hands. His heart was broken. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with him. Whoosh! He moved and appeared above Qiu Changkong. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? I'm already injured. It's the same as losing. How dare you attack me? Qiu Changkong sneered and looked at Lu Ming. Lost? I didn't hear you admit defeat. Oh. I forgot that you said earlier that you would never admit defeat. If you admit defeat, you'll become a joke. Lu Ming said indifferently. You. Even if I didn't admit defeat, I'm still injured. Can't you see that? It's the same as losing. Qiu Changkong shouted. He wanted to admit defeat, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. Injured? Your injuries aren't serious enough. After saying that, Lu Ming took another step forward. Qiu Changkong shouted in horror. He wanted to resist, but he was already seriously injured. How could he have the strength to resist? Bang! Crackle! He followed in Zhongsheng's footsteps. He didn't know how many bones in his body were broken by Lu Ming. Earlier, Qiu Changkong and Zhongsheng said that they wanted to break all the bones in Lu Ming's body. Now, both of them had their bones broken by Lu Ming as they wished. Ah, Lu Ming, you deserve to die. You broke the rules. You broke the rules. Qiu Changkong roared hysterically. Where did I break the rules? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent. He condensed a qi spear in his hand. No, I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Chapter 432. He was really scared. Lu Ming really wanted to kill him. How audacious. Die. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent as a long spear appeared in his hand. The long spear turned into a bolt of lightning, piercing through the air and piercing towards Qiu Changkong with a terrifying force. Ah! No, no, save me! Qiu Changkong's courage almost broke. His mud-like body trembled crazily as he screamed hysterically. He screamed so miserably that he was about to cry. Buzz! At this moment, a blazing wave flashed by, and Lu Ming's spear light suddenly disappeared. It did not cause any fluctuation and disappeared just like that. A tall figure appeared on the battle stage. It was the middle-aged guardian. Lu Ming, the rules cannot be broken. If you break them and kill him now, it will be difficult for you to join the Empyrean Divine Guards. You have to prioritize. The middle-aged guardian said. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. He knew that with the middle-aged guardian here, he could not kill Qiu Changkong today. He cupped his fists and said, Lu Ming understands. The middle-aged guardian nodded. Ha ha ha, I'm saved. Lu Ming, I must take revenge for this. I must take revenge 10 times, 100 times. Qiu Changkong laughed and roared in his heart. His eyes flashed with incomparable resentment. Today, Lu Ming humiliated him in front of so many people. He hated Lu Ming to the extreme. Men, carry them down to treat their injuries, the middle-aged man said. Immediately, a few people flew down and carried Qiu Changkong and Zhang Sheng away. Now, I announce that the Empyrean Divine Guards this time belongs to Lu Ming. Then, the middle-aged guardian announced loudly. Whoosh! The whole place was in an uproar. Countless people were discussing and discussing. What a surprise, what a surprise! Lu Ming actually obtained the throne of the Empyrean Divine Guards. That's right. Who would have thought that after so many years, there would finally be a genius from a small region who would be able to become a Four Heavens Divine Guard? It's so rare to see a genius from a small region trying to become a Four Heavens Divine Guard. It only happens once every 500 years. I didn't expect to run into him. I am so lucky. So handsome. Lu Ming is so handsome. I want to chase him. A young girl in the prime of her youth screamed, her eyes shining. Everyone was too shocked. Lu Ming, 1 against 2, had actually obtained an overwhelming victory. This made everyone's jaws drop. In the area of the leading elders. Brother Lu, congratulations. Lu Ming has won the Eastern Sky Divine Guard. That's right, Brother Lu, you really have a discerning eye. You even managed to find such a genius. You even hit him so well before. Brother Lu, please take care of me in the future. Beside Lu Xiu, a group of elders were beaming with joy as they congratulated Lu Xiu. No, this was no longer congratulation, this was simply flattery. You're welcome, you're welcome. Lu Xiu responded to them one by one. However, his smile was so wide that it almost reached his ears. Not far away, Zhao Sui's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he kept muttering, how could this be? How could this be? In the preparation area of the Empyrean Divine Guard, Jiang Hongwen and Shengguan Yunyan's eyes were filled with shock. Lu Ming has won the Eastern Sky Divine Guard? Someone from my Cloud Emperor Mountain Range has won the Eastern Sky Divine Guard? Jiang Hongwen kept muttering, thinking that he was dreaming. Lu Ming, amazing, amazing. I am too far away from him. In the Empyrean Divine Guard area, Jian Fengyun sighed. However, there was no jealousy on his face. Instead, he was happy for Lu Ming. On the battle stage, the middle-aged protector took a step forward and arrived in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you are not bad. You have exceeded my expectations. However, there are many geniuses in the Empyrean Divine Palace. Don't be arrogant because of this. The middle-aged protector said with a smile. Thank you for your guidance, protector. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed. He knew that the middle-aged protector had no ill intentions towards him. Instead, he was kind. The reason why he stopped him from killing Qiu Changkong was to uphold the rules. If you have any problems in the future, you can find me in the Fire Palace. Later, there will be a deacon of the Empyrean Divine Palace who will show you around the Myriad Star City. Your reward will also be distributed to you. The middle-aged protector said with a smile. Thank you, protector. Lu Ming thanked him again. The middle-aged protector nodded with satisfaction and then announced loudly, all right, the selection of the Empyrean Divine Guards has come to an end. A total of 1360 Empyrean Divine Guards have been selected. Deacon Huang, I will leave the rest to you. As soon as the middle-aged protector finished speaking, a tall and thin middle-aged man with a goatee flew onto the battle stage and said, subordinate obeys. The middle-aged protector nodded. Then, his figure moved and suddenly disappeared. No one saw how he disappeared. Is this a small success, King? Lu Ming's eyes flickered and revealed a yearning look. Although the Martial King realm was also divided into 9 levels, the gap between each level was even greater. It was several times greater than the gap between each level of the Martial Ancestor realm. Moreover, the Martial King realm had several watersheds. Based on these watersheds, there were 4 titles. Level 1 to 3 Martial Kings were called Low Success Kings. Level 4 to 6 Martial Kings were called Small Success Kings. Level 7 to 9 Martial Kings were called Great Success Kings. Above the Great Accomplishment King level was the Peak King level. Among them, the difference between the 3rd layer to the 4th layer Martial Emperor realm and the 6th layer to the 7th layer Martial Emperor realm was extremely huge. The protectors of the Empyrean Divine Palace were said to be Small Success Kings. It was difficult to break through each level of the Martial King realm. Most of the kings in the Eastern Palace of the Empyrean Divine Palace were Low Success Kings. Small Success Kings were already famous experts. Alright, prepare the Empyrean Divine Guards and stay here for the time being. Someone will make the arrangements later. Official Empyrean Divine Guards, follow me. I will bring you to the Empyrean Divine Palace to settle the procedures and arrange your accommodations. Everyone, my surname is Huang. I am a deacon of the Empyrean Divine Palace. You can call me Deacon Huang. The deacon with the goatee said. Then, Deacon Huang took the lead and flew into the sky. The 1360 official Empyrean Divine Guards also flew into the sky and followed Deacon Huang. Below them, countless eyes were looking at them, filled with envy. Once they became official Empyrean Divine Guards, not only would they enjoy excellent cultivation conditions, but they would also have great power and a high status. If they went to other empires, even the royal families of middle-tier and high-tier empires would have to be polite, let alone a low-tier one like the Burning Sun Empire. This was because the Empyrean Divine Guards represented the Empyrean Divine Palace. Lu Ming and the others flew into the sky and looked down. They could see the entire huge building. Chapter 433. More than 1,000 people followed Administrator Huang and flew across the sky like locusts. However, they did not cause any commotion in the huge Myriad Star City. Myriad Star City was too big. Furthermore, there were too many experts. Countless people flew around in the sky every day. Everyone was already used to it. Due to the large number of people in the sky, flying in the sky of Myriad Star City had a speed limit. If there was no speed limit, one would not be able to control the speed of a few kilometers or even 10 kilometers in an instant. A large number of cultivators would crash into each other. At that time, they would not die in battle but collide with other cultivators. That would be awkward. Half an hour later, Administrator Huang led the crowd to a huge building. This building was a pavilion. It was 7 stories tall and looked extraordinarily majestic. There was a stone tablet in front of the pavilion with a row of words written on it, Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Tianxian Region Eastern Branch. This is the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace's eastern branch in the Tianxian region? It can't be, right? Lu Ming's eyes were filled with doubt. The others were the same. Although this pavilion was huge, it could not accommodate many people. It would be too shabby to say that this was the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace's eastern branch in the Tianxian region. Little fellows, watch carefully. Administrator Huang seemed to have seen through everyone's thoughts and laughed. Following that, he took out a purple gold token and inserted his veritable energy. The purple gold token flickered with light and spread out. Suddenly, ripples appeared in front of the pavilion. Slowly, a huge whirlpool appeared. A spatial path. This place was actually a spatial path. Follow me. Administrator Huang smiled and stepped into the whirlpool. The others exchanged glances and followed him. Could there be another paradise? Lu Ming pondered for a moment and stepped in as well. The world suddenly changed. In the next moment, Lu Ming discovered that he had appeared in a huge plaza. The plaza was at least 10 kilometers long and wide. The ground was actually paved with white jade. Inscriptions flickered on the white jade. More than 3,000 people all appeared in the plaza. In the square, there was an earth-shattering discussion. That is? Lu Ming looked ahead. In front of them was an endless stretch of vast mountains. Some of the peaks in the mountains were so tall that they reached into the clouds. They were extraordinarily majestic. One could see that there were many huge buildings built between the vast mountains. There were palaces and pagodas, all of them incomparably majestic, so much so that they were as tall as mountains. Spirit birds could be seen flying between the mountains and the palaces. The roars of strange beasts could also be heard, resounding throughout the world. At the same time, one could also see the silhouettes of martial artists shuttling back and forth in the mountains and palaces. It was like a fairyland. Is this the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace's branch palace in the eastern part of the Tianxian region? It's actually in a plain. Moreover, the spiritual qi of heaven and earth is so dense, 5 or 6 times that of the myriad star city. Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he pondered. No wonder there was only one tower outside the myriad star city. Alright, everyone. This is the real sub-palace of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. Although it's only a small subplane, it's considered big among small subplanes. It's tens of millions of miles long and wide. It has abundant resources. Deacon Huang explained proudly. Traversing tens of millions of miles? It is indeed huge. Lu Ming was flabbergasted. Actually, Lu Ming had come into contact with quite a number of planes along the way. However, they were all small planes. There were very few medium-sized planes. This was because medium-sized planes were vast and boundless. The laws of heaven and earth were very complete and could evolve into a world on their own. Only official Heavenly Emperor Divine Guards can enter this place to cultivate. Probationary Heavenly Emperor Divine Guards do not have this qualification. Probationary Heavenly Emperor Divine Guards live in the Myriad Star City and have to go through tough training and tests before they can become Heavenly Emperor Divine Guards. Deacon Huang continued. Many people nodded silently, rejoicing that they had become Heavenly Emperor Divine Guards. If they had become Probationary Heavenly Emperor Divine Guards, they would have had to go through a lot of training. Furthermore, the success rate would not have been high. Your information has already been sent over. Now, I will help you with the procedures to join the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace. Please wait here for a while. Deacon Huang continued. Everyone saw a huge palace at the side of the plaza. People were coming and going in the palace. This was probably the place where they would go through the procedures. Not long after, a beautiful young girl came to Deacon Huang's side and handed him a storage ring. Deacon Huang took it. The storage ring flashed and a purple gold token appeared in his hand. This is your token, known as the Divine Guard token. It records your information in the Heavenly Emperor Divine Guard. At the same time, when you go out, it also represents your identity as a Heavenly Emperor Divine Guard. The Divine Guard token is made of purple gold cold iron. It is engraved with special inscriptions. Outsiders cannot copy it. The first one, Lu Ming, this is your Eastern Sky Divine Guard token. Deacon Huang said. Lu Ming walked up. Little brother Lu, congratulations. There are many benefits to becoming an Eastern Sky Divine Guard. Not only do you have the qualification to enter the 100 Gods slope, but the place you live in is also different. Wait a moment, I will bring you there. Deacon Huang looked at Lu Ming with a smile on his face. Thank you, Deacon Huang. Lu Ming said politely and took the purple gold Divine Guard token. The others looked at Lu Ming with envy. Becoming an Eastern Sky Divine Guard represented a boundless future. Didn't you see that even Deacon Huang was polite to Lu Ming? He wanted to build a good relationship with him. No need to be polite. Next, Zhang Sheng. He is injured now, I will give it to him later. Deacon Huang took out another token. Next, Deacon Huang distributed the tokens one by one. Lu Ming had already walked to the side and took the token. He injected his true qi and looked at it. The token flickered with a faint light and a message appeared in Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming, from the Blazing Sun Empire of the Cloud Emperor Mountain Range, 19 years old, Tianxian Domain's Eastern Sky Divine Guard. It was just a short message. In the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace, the Heavenly Emperor Divine Guards were divided into several ranks. First rank was the lowest. Above them were second rank, third rank, fourth rank. Lu Ming didn't know the highest rank. The others also looked at it one by one. Soon, Deacon Huang finished distributing all the tokens. Now, I will bring you guys around the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace. Deacon Huang said. Then, he flew towards the vast mountains. The others rose into the sky and followed him. I believe you guys know that the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace has 9 halls, which correspond to wind, fire, water, metal, wood, earth, thunder, ice, and mountain. These are the 9 commonly seen intent realms of heaven and earth. But other than the 9 halls, there are a few other places in the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace that are extremely important and famous. The pagoda in front of you is the heaven-reaching pagoda. You can cultivate in it in the future and also test your cultivation and combat strength. The heaven-reaching pagoda is divided into many levels. You will get a corresponding reward for each level you pass. Chapter 434. There was a tall tower in front of them. It was dark and majestic. It covered an area of 100 acres and was as tall as the mountains. It was unknown how many floors there were. Tower of Babel. It really lives up to its name. Lu Ming exclaimed. Immediately, Deacon Huang led the group and continued forward. They passed mountain after mountain and palace after palace. Occasionally, experts would fly by and glance at them curiously. Those experts were young, around 27 or 28 years old. The older ones were around 30 years old. They were all in the golden age of martial artists. However, the auras of these young experts were extremely terrifying. Their auras were monstrous and unfathomable. Lu Ming felt that the weakest of them were half-step kings. Some of them were hard to predict, but they were definitely stronger than half-step kings. Among Lu Ming and the group, many young geniuses were peerless geniuses in their respective regions. However, when they sensed the auras of these young experts, their faces turned pale. They were too weak. Cough cough, don't be discouraged. Many of these young experts are from the previous generation of Emperor Sky Divine Guards. They have cultivated for 5 more years than you. Naturally, they are very strong. After cultivating for 5 more years, you may not be weaker than them. Deacon Huang said loudly. That's right. I will definitely be stronger in the future. Me too. Many young people took a deep breath and cheered themselves up. They regained their fighting spirit. Deacon Huang nodded with satisfaction. Soon, they arrived in front of an extremely ancient and majestic palace. This is the Tao Enlightenment Palace. It is extremely magical. After entering, you can observe the changes of the intent realm of heaven and earth. It will greatly help you comprehend the intent realm of heaven and earth. Deacon Huang introduced. What? It can help you comprehend the intent realm of heaven and earth? Everyone was shocked. That's right. Not only can it help you comprehend the intent realm of heaven and earth, but it can also help you comprehend the force. Deacon Huang continued. What? It can help you comprehend the force? Many young people's eyes lit up. Of course. The Tao Enlightenment Palace is second only to the 100 Gods slope in the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. It was built by the Palace Master of the Emperor Sky Divine Palace, the Great Martial Emperor De. Deacon Huang said proudly. Martial Emperor De. Oh my God! The young men were astounded. De was an aloof martial emperor. He was one of the strongest people in the Divine Wasteland continent. He was extremely famous, his name was known throughout the ages. Who did not know him? This Enlightenment Palace was built by Emperor De. Just thinking about it made people excited. Martial Emperor De? Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Sooner or later, I will surpass you. Lu Ming was filled with fighting spirit. Supreme Nine Yang had helped him suppress the Nine Dragons' bloodline aura for 10 years. Now, about a year had passed. There were still 9 years left. 9 years later, the power of Supreme Nine Sons would disappear, and he would have to face Martial Emperor De. This was almost impossible, but Lu Ming would not give up. He was filled with motivation and fighting spirit. If other people knew what he was thinking, they would probably be scared to death. But I have to tell you that if you want to cultivate in the Tao Enlightenment Palace, you have to pay 100 spiritual crystals for 1 day. Deacon Huang smiled. What? 100 top-grade spiritual crystals a day? Oh my God, that's too expensive. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. A top-grade spiritual crystal was equivalent to 100 upper spiritual crystals, 10,000 middle spiritual crystals, and 1 million lower spiritual crystals. 100 top-grade spiritual crystals were equivalent to 100 million lower spiritual crystals. 100 million lower spiritual crystals for 1 day of cultivation. Everyone felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over them. Their hearts suddenly became cold. With their wealth, even if they used up everything they had, they would only be able to cultivate for a few days. Deacon Huang smiled gently and did not say anything. He continued to fly forward. Soon, they arrived at a huge mountain peak. On the mountain peak, ancient trees towered into the sky. Spiritual birds flew and auspicious beasts roared. It was a peaceful scene. One could see that between the trees, there were many courtyards. They were stacked layer upon layer, covering the entire mountain. Nobody knew how many there were. As soon as they arrived, they felt that the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was much denser than in other places. It was much denser than in Myriad Star City. This will be your residence. Each of you will be given a courtyard. Your courtyard number is marked on your Divine Guard tokens. You just need to check in with the correct number. Deacon Huang instructed. Many thanks, Deacon Huang. Everyone nodded. There are some other wonderful places in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. I won't show you one by one. You can slowly explore them later. After saying that, Deacon Huang flew to the front of Lu Ming and said with a smile, Little brother Lu, as an Eastern Sky Divine Guard, your courtyard is not in this area. It is on the mountain peak. There are 4 spiritual springs there. 4 courtyards have been built at the spiritual springs for the 4 heavenly divine guards to live in. Heavens, the courtyard is actually built at the spiritual spring's eye. This treatment is too good. Someone exclaimed. Countless gazes fell on Lu Ming, filled with envy. The spiritual spring's eye was a place where spiritual chi erupted. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was unimaginably dense. Gazes of envy and jealousy were fixed on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes also lit up. He did not expect the treatment of the Eastern Sky Divine Guards to be so good. No wonder everyone wanted to seize this position. Staying at the spiritual springs eye was also very beneficial for Lu Ming's cultivation. Little brother Lu Ming, let me bring you up. Deacon Huang said with a smile. Then I'll have to trouble Deacon Huang. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Soon after, Lu Ming and Deacon Huang flew towards the mountain peak, leaving behind a group of envious people. Sigh, comparisons are odious. Not only can Lu Ming stay at the spiritual spring's eye, he also has a spot to enter the 100 Gods slope. Even Deacon Huang has to curry favor with him. Someone sighed. There's nothing we can do about it. Who asked his talent to be so good? We can't compare. Let's go find our own courtyards. Let's go. Immediately, the youths flew down the mountain peak and walked towards those courtyards. Every courtyard was marked with a number. Everyone just had to check in according to the number. Lu Ming and Deacon Huang arrived at the mountain peak. Standing in the air, they could see that there was a courtyard in each of the 4 directions of the mountain peak. It was filled with clouds and mist, like a fairyland. These were the courtyards where the 4 heavens' divine guards lived. Because the mountain peak was too large, the 4 courtyards were at least a few miles apart from each other. The one in the east is your courtyard. Deacon Huang pointed at the courtyard in the east and introduced. Lu Ming nodded. Little brother Lu, after several months of fighting, you must be tired. Go and rest first. This Huang will not disturb you. If you have any problems in the future, feel free to look for me. Oh, and the courtyard of the 4 heavens' divine guards is surrounded by inscription formations. It needs your divine guard token to activate it. This is to prevent others from disturbing your cultivation. Deacon Huang said. Lu Ming thanks Deacon Huang. Lu Ming bowed. Since others were showing goodwill to him, he naturally would not refuse. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.